Everybody stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope everybody's doing well today. I don't know if everybody knows, but today is the birthday of Franklin County. Pretty exciting. 228 years. So thought it was interesting. Little history here. I don't know if everybody knew that Franklin County was formed in 1795 from Woodford, Messer, and Shelby counties. It was named after Benjamin Franklin, a founding father and drafter of the Declaration of Independence. So a little fun fact to start the meeting off today. So I guess I'll ask, is there any public comments from the audience? Seeing no public comments, we'd like to invite Yes Arts, Miss Elle Travis, up to the podium. Good morning, Elle.
Morning. Happy birthday, everybody. Thank you. All right. So I just wanted to come in. Thank you all for having me today. I wanted to update everybody. It's been about a year since I spoke with you all on Zoom. And the last time I saw you,
We were just getting ready to move in and start work on our new facility. So I thought it was a good time to come and update you all about the work that we're doing. So Andrew, if you'll advance the slide for me. So I've just put together a few before and after pictures. So the top row is our before of our main gallery there on the left, and the bottom is our gallery as it exists today with our children's program in there. The middle photo is our children's playroom that we call Maya's room. I think I should maybe start by telling a little bit about our organization, and it starts with Maya. How many of you all are familiar with Yes Arts or Hands Healing Hearts? Most of you, a little bit of you. So we started in 2016 as Hands Healing Hearts after local artist Doris Thurber lost her daughter Maya Thurber to overdose. She was 22 years old. And following her loss, Doris decided she wanted to help people in recovery. So she partnered with the Franklin County Drug Court program to offer art services to women in early recovery. And so that program still stands today. And we actually just had our first session in the building on Monday with our new drug court program. So that's exciting. And I'll tell more about that. But since that time, we've transitioned through working with just women in recovery all the way through to a youth substance prevention model, which looks like really great art classes with built-in protective factors. And has now rolled into a full-blown art center where we offer adults programming, everything through birth through 100 years old, I suppose, maybe older if somebody wanted to come. So these are just a few of our rooms. And Andrew, if you want to advance forward, I've got another slide of our remodel. In the middle, you see a bunch of empty shelves, but those are all now full with donations that were given by our community. That's our supply closet or our resource room. And we have a lot of volunteer and community support. And so we haven't really paid for many art supplies to date. We had 4 rooms donated, 4 rooms full of supplies. And so we're currently storing them. And then things that are everyday use go into this supply closet. And Andrew, you can advance forward. We had 283 volunteers who worked with us during our first 4 months, January through April of last year prior to open. We painted 75 gallons of white paint on the wall. So it was a very big project, and we had everybody from KSU football team, beta clubs. If you advance forward, Andrew, I've got a few more photos that you could click through. We had the police department there. Just a good helping hand. We had some magistrates who came down and helped. If you go forward one more, few commissioners. This was our very first opening event, and it was April 22nd of last year. We called it the First Look event because we knew we weren't finished with our building, but we couldn't wait any longer to get open. A lot of you may not know that we also have an art gallery in our space. We actually have 3 separate gallery spaces for professional exhibiting work. And so we rotate professional local artists and regional artists through that exhibit, and they rotate through about quarterly. So work stays up about 3 months, give or take. And so that is going to be a draw to the community and something that we are going to be advertising locally with Frankfurt Tourism and Downtown Frankfurt Inc. We're also working to coordinate with the Grand Gallery and the Jane Chancellor Moore Gallery to have open hours on a set day to bring in kind of a regional draw when people can come and see multiple galleries around town. And Andrew, if you'll advance forward one more time. Okay, a lot of people ask me, who do we serve? Because I know it gets confusing. Our mission is mobilizing the power of community and the arts to disrupt the cycle of addiction. So keywords there, community, arts, and addiction. And people think, okay, I don't have any problems with drugs, so that's not for me. And that's not ultimately the answer. My name is Elle, and I have 9 years in recovery. And I didn't think that that was me either. I didn't think that it was my best friend. I didn't think it was my friend's sister. I didn't think it was my cousin's friend. And that's kind of where we find ourselves in our community. Everybody has been touched by addiction in some way, in some form. And so the work that Yes Arts is now doing has shifted over time from a beautiful program that started with Maya working with the women of drug court. And it was an arts-based class led by an artist. And then during the pandemic, Doris asked me if I would lead the class on Zoom, because that was something that I was more comfortable doing. And so then the program took a shift where it had a program leader who had lived experience in recovery. So I was later credentialed as a peer support specialist. So now that program is led by an artist who has lived experience in recovery. And this year, the program we started on Monday, the program has shifted again, and now we have a program that is therapeutic based. So we have an art therapist leading the program, and then a peer support who will serve in that program as well. So it'll be therapeutic and lived experience in that program. Andrew, if you want to advance one forward. So that program I'm talking about is now called ART, which stands for Achieving Recovery Together. And it's not just the drug court partnership. So that's the one that naturally we continued on. But we're also have been awarded a grant to work with the women and the domestic violence shelter with the Sunshine Center. So that will be happening in the near future. We hope to partner with Fresh Start Frankfort, formerly the Franklin County Women and Family Shelter. They're now a recovery housing program. So we hope to have a group of those women come over. And eventually I hope to expand to both male and female programming, but just makes sense for people in early recovery to keep that separate for now. My long-term goal for the art program is that we will have an open community group. That is something that currently is not funded. But I would like to have a group where you don't have to be tied to drug court or one of the shelters to be able to attend a program. It would be a weekly operating program that anyone in recovery could attend. All right, Andrew, if you want to move forward one, please. Sorry, also I talk a lot, but I've got a lot to fit in and I don't want to take up too much of your all's time. YAY is the acronym that stands for Yes Arts Youth. So all of our Yes Arts youth programs start with the word YAY because it's exciting and because that's what we're doing. The YAY programs are for all ages. It started really concentrating on middle schoolers just because that is the age that people really have a turn, lots of peer pressure and addictions begin. But ultimately the research and evidence has shown that I'm not sure if you all are familiar with ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, but ultimately that's a quiz that pediatricians can give that can gauge, really, to put it simply, how many bad things have happened to you? Do you have divorced parents? Is there abuse? Have you suffered anything that is going to change your view of the world, really, and and impact your mental state? And so anybody can have ACEs. I have ACEs. And so it's good to do that quiz. So if you haven't done it, I encourage you to go online. But what the science has said is that ACEs predetermine health factors. So not only does it predetermine that you're at higher risk, the more ACEs to fall into addiction, it also predetermines higher risk for heart disease and physical mental ailments. And so we've been studying these ACEs, and there's also something called baby ACEs, which is all the way down to the tiniest children. So if you have a child who is ultimately not cared for well, so if you have a parent who's in addiction and they have a baby in the home, that baby could be left in the crib crying. That baby could not be seeing love. That mother could go to jail. And if the mother goes to jail, unlike a 7 or 8-year-old who can comprehend that the mother went to jail and where they are, even though it's very hard and difficult for a baby, how do you know where your mother went? It's just mama's gone. And so baby ACEs are a completely separate thing, but also a very large factor. So we decided to open our program to everyone. So we have toddler programs that are a family engagement program called Yay Play. It's a toddler play learn group that is for babies. I mean, you can bring the tiniest baby in there, and then it's encouraging the grown up and the young one to interact with other people their age in the community. We have Yay Make, which is our Kids Night Out program. It's a elementary and middle school program drop-off program for kids on Saturday evenings. We have Yay ASAP, which is our after-school arts program, also an after-school program drop-off. We have Yay Teen that will be starting this summer, which will be a teen hangout for high school students to come eat pizza, maybe make some art, watch some movies, play video games, whatever we can do to get them in a safe place on Saturday nights. Yay Camp is our summer camps. We'll be running from 8 to 5 in the summer to reduce barriers for families for childcare. And we're getting ready to kick off Yay Build, which will be an engineering program based around like Legos and Connects and such. We also have partnership programs. So all of those things I just talked about are programs that anyone can enroll for and sign their kid up for. When they come to our program, they're going to have the structure of our program is we always have 2 adult program leaders, and those program leaders are Yes Arts trained staff members. They're trained on trauma-informed care, implicit bias, conscious discipline, mental health first aid, suicide prevention, LGBTQIA. So they're getting the type of training that they need to care for any student who walks through the door. Under those program leaders, we have teaching artists. So we have an artist roster of 60 artists who plug in and teach their specialty. And then under that, we have a layer of youth mentors, which are high school students that we pay who are also trained on all of those same topics, and they're peer mentors to the kids. So there's a quality of care and secure check-in and check-out process that you get that provides those protective factors to balance the ACEs. So the science says if you've got kids with ACEs, the only way to offset them is to put protective factors in their life. So I kind of equivalent it to a sports team. When you have a sports team, you've got a coach who's a mentor. You've got built-in friendships, even though they may not have things in common outside of the sport, they look out for each other. You have to keep your grades up because you want to play. And so Yes Arts finds that a lot of students who don't find themselves in sports, the arts kids, the drama kids, the outliers of their peer groups, we're making our own little culture of, mentorship, so to speak. And I'll talk last about our partner programs before I move on to community. We partner with the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation to provide programming for their crush groups, which is Kids Rising Up Through Support and Healing. If you're not familiar with Wanda Joyce, they work with children with incarcerated parents. We also provide childcare for their parent cafes, which is a parent forum. We work with the Franklin County schools. These students at the Franklin County Academy come down to us, the middle school students, every week for their art class. We also have all of the elementary students from the Gifted and Talented program at the district come down for monthly lessons. We work with Frankfort Independent Schools weekly through a partnership with the Franklin County Farmers Market through their garden club. And we also work with their Panther Enrichment program, which is their out of school time, so like spring break camp and stuff. So lots of partnerships going on, lots of things happening in our youth program. And if you can move forward one more, Andrew. And then last is our community programs. And one that I spoke about already is our gallery program. So that is a regional draw. Something unique about it is that we host elections. Elections just moved in our building today. And so people who may not have exposure to art will get exposure to art. We're in downtown Frankfort, so walkability to potential for people to have access to art that might not. And of course, it is in all of our program rooms are in the galleries. So kids are in there playing and learning. People in recovery are in there playing and learning. Adults are in there playing and learning in and amongst the art. So it's really cool. Then we have outreach activities. We recently helped the Fiscal Court with the Easter egg hunt that you all did. We did a sensory friendly area, but we do upwards of 50 outreach activities a year. That doesn't bring any income to us, but it's just a benefit to the community. We offer face painting and kids activities and crafts and all kinds of stuff. And we recently hosted Kids Adventure Day. A big part of what we do is family engagement. So that was a free to the community kids event. We anticipate that we had about 2,000 people who came through. It was a block party, so we closed off Conway and over at City Hall. And then we also do adult arts education, which is just basic art classes that all of you all could come to. We have a needle felt class coming up soon. And then last is our community partnerships and planning. So we were part of a group called the Opioid Abatement Planning Alliance, which gathered community partners, other nonprofits, and people who were looking at applying for the opioid abatement. And we brought in a strategic planner who we had been working with for our own organization, and kind of did a community strategic plan and created a group application. We all applied individually, but we all had a common graphic, a common narrative as we applied. So we're looking forward to hearing back about that. And Andrew, if you'll go forward one more, and maybe one more. So a lot of people ask about our funding streams. We are funded by grants, a whole bunch of grants. We have a Department of Justice micro grant to partner with Frankfort Police Department and Drug Court for that recovery program we've just kicked off. We have partners who write grants for us, for example, the Sunshine Center, who brought a grant to the table for programming. And then we just write lots of little grants to foundations and such for operating support. We have a very diverse stream of individual personal contribution funding, as well as sponsorships from local community organizations. And then, of course, we have our Fiscal Court and our City Commission who support us as well. So good amounts of funding coming from different pockets, and it's pretty diverse. So we feel good about that. And we just hope that everybody will take all this info I gave you and advocate it forward, because there's a lot of people, we grew so fast. A lot of people knew about the great work that Doris and Joanna and Jennifer are doing in the past, and even the work that Amelia did. If you've heard of Just Say Yes, which is a youth prevention program that we launched from our organization, there's a lot of yeses in there and a lot of confusion. So if you all can just help everybody know that Yes Arts is where you go to have quality program, everybody for all ages. And I'll be glad to talk to anybody or walk them through for a tour.
Elle, thank you very much. That was a great presentation. And
Thank you.
I want to say, just from the fiscal court, it's nice that you and the team had a vision, but you figured out how to make it work and be sustainable. You know, you're not just, relying on one person. You have multiple, things coming in as far as grants and supporters. And I think that's huge. And I think that should be a model for a lot of people in this community that don't have a plan. So I just wanted to start off by saying thank you, and you're doing great things. And
Thank you.
Thank you again for helping with the, I think Squire Sebastian helped tremendously with the Easter egg hunt with the area you all did.
Yeah.
And I think that was a great success. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any questions from the court for Elle Travis?
Just want to make a comment. I actually got to go to a training. I don't remember what it's called.
Yes, Family Thrive.
Yeah, went last week.
Ago, I can't remember what day it is anymore. I'm too busy, but it was beautiful. It was wonderful, and Elle, sets those kinds of things up for community members too. So it was wonderful. They do a phenomenal job over there. They really do.
Thank you. Yeah, if you all need any training.
We are now trained on trauma-informed care to offer the trainings. We're trained on Family Thrive, which is all about ACEs and childhood experiences, mental health first aid, and child abuse prevention as well. So we're trying to train the trainer internal so that then we can offer the trainings to the community as well.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Elle, thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. All righty, next we have the Franklin Planning Board for a work session. Hey, morning, John. How are you doing?
How you doing, sir?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Morning, members of the Fiscal Court. My name is John Cubine. I'm chairman of the Frankfurt Planning Board. With me is Adam Hellert, who's our head of telecom, and John Snyder, who's vice chairman of the board. So appreciate the opportunity to come today. Going with a theme the Optimist Club uses when they give out mugs when people speak. The glass is either half empty or half full. And what we're going to do today is give you an update on where we are on the county broadband project build out. And just to let you know, first, we've had some issues, and we'll go into those in more details. I think you have 4 handouts with you. I think you have about a 9-page fact sheet. I think you have a map, a sample of the agreement that the state government has sent us, and then an article from the Wall Street Journal. Our problem is basically, when we applied for the grant several years ago, we need a local partner. We approached Fiscal Court. They agreed to partner with us, put up $3 million. We put up $5 million. We applied for $8 million in state funds for a total of $16 million. During the time between when we applied for the grants and when we got notice and when we got the agreements, basically what hit us is, no surprise to anybody, was inflation. Y'all seen some charts. We've seen, and we're projecting right now that the initial cost of 16 could go 30 million or more. And it's in labor and materials. And to give you a side that's just to show you the market, we recently at the plan board ordered a bucket truck. It's $100,000 more than they were last year, and it's a 2-year wait. Transformers, everything else, anything in that area, because what happened was the federal government infused billions of dollars nationwide. There wasn't the material, the supply chain, the contractors to do the work, and the prices shot up. What we're projecting is that initial inflation in 21 continued in 22 is going to continue in the project. We could be wrong on that. The inflation could temper. We've not seen it so far. And I want to say right up front, the fiscal court, we've worked with them. If anybody wants to blame anybody, they can blame us. We put the numbers together. We put them together in good faith. We're not taking any direct, any profit margins, any return on investments. We're spending all the money on materials and labor. We submitted 11 grants. We got them all. Our goal was to build out in Franklin County. That was our goal, to cover the homes. We're still committed to the project. 2 things have happened to us. One, we're in place. The other is, in about the same time frame, we did a pilot project not related to this on Shadrick Ferry to build out there on broadband. We went to all the homes. We worked with some local officials. We had 90% of the people say they want it in writing. When it came time to sign it and sign up, 50%. So think of it, it's different building in the county than it is building in Ridgeview. Because if you have to go past 4 or 5 homes that won't take it to get to a home that does, you still have the cost. You've just lost your revenue. And we're looking at return on investment of a 20-year model. This isn't something we're going to get our money back quickly. We're pricing our product for the county the same as what we do it for the city. We're competitive, if not lower than our competitors. We don't have the fees, the add-on construction, but the take rate coupled with the inflation has basically cut our buying power to about 16 million, which is the grant. Our commitment and what we did was, when we saw the inflation, when we saw what was happening, we went to state officials. We met with state budget director and the secretary of the governor's cabinet. We talked with fiscal court officials. We looked at various grant options. We looked at just rejecting it, saying, we're not going to do it. But we'd be giving back $8 million in state money that we have right now in hand that we can spend on this project. So we looked at it, we redid the maps, and our goal was to touch as many homes as we could, because we can't get to the fire home at Bald Knob and Peaks Mill without building the backbone and structure to get there. So we wanted to get to as many homes as we could and touch each of the 11 grant areas that we had developed so that we would spread that out. I can assure you, nobody interfered with the maps. Nobody said, oh, make sure you take care of this, or this is my buddy, or do this. Our engineers put it together based on what would make sense for the community to give us the backbone to continue to build out in the future. We went to the 2023 General Assembly. As you know, it was not a budget session, but to see if there's any available funding, because the state's sitting on roughly about 3.7 billion in general fund in the rainy day fund. They opened it up for juvenile justice, a couple other things. 2024 is a budget session. Our plan would be to go back again, and our goal would be to try to get 100% funds with no match. Because what we looked at was, we had looked at actually not only rejecting the original grant, but resubmitting. Under any scenario, if we'd submitted a $32 million grant, which in our wildest dreams, we never thought that would be the cost. We didn't have 16 million match between us and fiscal court. We had what we had. You all put 3 in, and our commitment to you all was, you put your money in. You've not paid us any of the money. We would bill you as the work was done. So we didn't have any money, because we're basically doing internal movement of funds to finance our 5 million, because the same costs that are affecting this project are affecting us in the day-to-day operations in our existing service areas. Those same costs are there for, you take the storm event. You could drive around and see brand new fiber cable laying on the ground. We've applied for disaster funding, but we took a $500,000 hit on that disaster. I mean, we'll have to re-pull the wire. That's just part of the business. But our goal would be to continue to try. There's billions more in federal money coming down. Most of it has matches. But our goal would be to continue to try to get additional funds to build the project out. And with that, we think our service, and I'm prejudiced, but we think our service is as good or better than any of our competitors. We think our pricing is better. But the take rate's a problem, because to get to some homes, we've got to pass other homes. And if we have to go a quarter mile back on the road to get to a home, we're willing to do that. But if people don't want the service and we get it, and there are alternatives, they're more expensive. There's satellite, there's some other options. The speed's not the same, the price is higher. But the broadband, we're putting in a 5G network, but it's a 10G network. So it's not just state of the art today, it's going to be state of the art for years. And if any of you have it, it's fast. I mean, it's much faster than copper. And it's a good service. We've been committed and wanted to do the county projects for years. That's why we did the pilot on Shadrick Ferry. The other issue that I think you know, and Judge, you and I've had a conversation, is easements take a long time. And we checked into Scott County and some others. We've not seen where any other counties have used any kind of eminent domain to get it done faster. Scott only had a handful of eminent domains filed in a whole year. And what you need to understand in that is, if you've got a pole in your backyard and it's a KU pole or bluegrass, we don't have the right just to drive into your yard and hang. We have to get permission from them. That's not a problem. I mean, that goes back and forth with all utilities. But we have to get permission from the homeowner to hang a wire. If they say no, then we got to figure a way to work around them. And that could be very costly and time consuming. But we don't have the right just to go in your backyard and start pulling wires. Now, if it's existing wire, existing service, but if it's brand new and that easement is for electric, then it's for electric. We have to get permission to pull cable. So that takes time. And that, to be honest, and Scotty, you know, that's Shadrick Ferry was tough. A lot of people had concerns. They didn't want us tearing up their yard. They had concerns, and we understood that. But the easements, the take rate, and to be honest, the inflation, which is still there, has caused some issues. What you've got in front of you now is the agreements. You know, we initially went to the state, submitted the application. They made the award. They sent us agreements. Then we went back and revised the grant. Then they've sent us a new set of agreements to re-sign, to basically memorialize the revised map. So that's what that agreement is. We've not drawn any of the money yet. The end date doesn't change, which was a 5-year grant. So this time we've spent revising the grants going back has not changed the end date. So what you've got in front of you, and it's tough. And again, if there's anybody who wants to, if there's a villain in this, you can blame us. I can assure you it was done in good faith. Our numbers we felt were good. We didn't project the inflation, but it is what it is, and we can't change that. We still think it's good. You're putting up 3, getting 13 back. We're putting up 5, getting 13 back. I mean, you're putting up 3, you're getting 30. We're putting up 5. So the bottom line is it's $8 million in additional state funds for this community. And like I said, we thought about rejecting it, starting all over. No assurance we'd get $8 million again, because you're competing again in a statewide pool. The $16 million takes us through this year into next year. We're still committed to doing the project. But I understand it, and you've got constituents who are disappointed. We want to get it out there. And like I said, it's not, we're trying to make money on it, because everything we bring in revenue, we're going to have to keep reinvesting this for upcoming years as we continue to build. But it is a good service, and for the community, we think it's important. So, Judge, I appreciate that time. And like I said, Adam's here, who actually understands it all. And John's here, who understands it far better than me. We'd be glad to answer any questions or whatever, more information. And like I said, we offered the state the same thing. And I know you're saying, how could the numbers have changed that much? And we met with the state budget director. We said, you can see the invoices. We can show you what we ordered before the grant application, what everything cost us, cable, nodes, everything, and what it costs now. And you can see, we had a crew. It's a story we've told, but it's unfortunately true. We hired a crew out of Florida to help us pull cable. They got a better deal from Alabama on the way, and they turned. It's whatever you're willing to pay in the market. It's that kind of market. And these crews split off, and you see them run around. I mean, AT&T's pulling cable, we're pulling cable. It's just the nature of the business right now. So, sir, I appreciate the time.
Absolutely, John. Thank you for coming
Yes,
in
sir.
today. Obviously, in the last couple of court meetings, the last couple of months, it's been a big talk in the
Oh, yes, sir.
community, and the magistrates are getting calls from
Sure.
constituents, and so we had a couple of requests for y'all to come in and talk to
Sure.
us. So I appreciate all you all being here today. So at this time, I'm going to open it up to the court and see if there's any magistrates that want to ask any of these gentlemen some questions, and we'll go from there.
I got one question.
Sure, Richard.
Is all the cable all hung on poles or is it buried? You talking about?
It's a combination of both.
Well, you're talking about right of ways and you wouldn't deal with a homeowner unless it was buried. Is that correct?
No, well, still there with the homeowner, anything that's on the property that's not in the right of way. And if you look at a lot of the utility routes, they're not in right of way. A lot of them go cut through, especially in rural areas, they go through farms. So yeah, if it's technically in a right of way, we wouldn't have to. Out of the project scale at this point, we're looking at 800 easements that we would have to obtain that are not in right of ways.
Is that hung on poles? You was talking about they're not got right of ways?
No, it goes either way. So if you're served underground, when we come in, we'll do underground. If your utilities are overhead, we would build overhead. We're gonna match what's there. Because it's cheaper. If you say it's underground, we want to come in and go aerial, we have to set all those new posts. The cost is. So we typically follow whatever the electric utility is in the area.
Well, John mentioned having eminent domain, but you wouldn't have to do that if you're
No.
stringing on poles.
No, if it's a pole in your property and there's not
Well,
there's not
I don't
cable
know
on your
what-
property,
I
all
would've
you've got
thought
on your pole is electric.
Of course, my area is served by bluegrass,
Right.
not plant board.
Right.
And those lines are surely got right of ways through there. At least they think they do.
Well, those right of ways or those easements are obtained by Bluegrass Energy, not.
Well, if you string on their pole, you gotta deal with them. Is that
Right,
correct?
we work out with them, but we also have to get an okay from the homeowner.
To come on your property.
That's the easement. The other is a make ready cost that we work out between Bluegrass Energy and KU. The other is the agreement to actually enter your property. Just like years ago, before the utility was there, when they came to you and you wanted service, you basically signed an easement for them to come on your property to give you electric service. That'd be the same thing when we come on your property, we would ask you to sign an easement so we can provide you telephone service.
But we can't just drive on your property and start pulling cable without your permission, even though there's a pole there by Bluegrass. Now, we get permission from Bluegrass to hang on.
To
We work with them
attach.
to have attached to their pole, the same way that Kentucky Water had to get a.
Well, if you were-
to attach.
If you were a homeowner that did not want service,
Right.
I mean, and you're stringing on the pole, would you still need permission from them?
Yes. I mean, Shattered Ferry, we had to do a redesign. There's an additional 8,000 feet built because we could not get an easement on the property.
I understand how hard it is to get.
Well, I can just give you an example. I won't name the state. There was a state who thought they could play fast and free on the easements and started pulling the wires without permission. I forget how many million the court awarded them. 24 million
$4 million.
for basically trespassing and hanging wires on poles without permission. Utilities have a lot of authority, but we can't just come on your property and start doing things. If you say no, and we had like on Shattered Fair, there's people that said, you go tear in my yard, you go bring backhoes, you go bring bulldozers. What's it gonna look like when you're done? I mean, and they were legitimate, and they were like people with, the poles were in the back, but we had to go underground to get to the house. And they were concerned, well, where are you gonna tear up? You're going through my flower beds. I mean, it's one-on-one is
They
what it
didn't want
is.
the cable, I guess. I understand, cause I've done some of that with the water board. The dogs buried out there or something. It's always something.
Adam, you referenced 880 poles. So if
880 easements.
Okay,
Or 800 easements. I'm sorry.
okay, I'm sorry. So if a pole on one of those properties belonged to the plant board,
Mhm.
do you still have to ask for permission to go to them?
We usually do, but it's the plant board, but most of these areas other than Benson Valley are all outside the plant board service area.
Has there been any conversations with those other utility carriers to see what they could potentially charge the plant board to hang the line on their poles?
Well, there's agreements, it goes back and forth. They charge us to hang, we charge them to hang. There's minimal charges. There's some PSC rules that,
We do
They
a
can't-
campaign
yeah,
where we basically settle up because we gotta pay typically, it's the telecom paying Bluegrass Energy, KU, and, AT&T.
Like when Kentucky Wire came through Frankfurt, they had to pay us to hang on our poles. I mean, AT&T has to pay to hang on our poles.
We pay that.
Yeah.
Whether it's electric or.
But my question is, has there been any conversations with those other utilities to see, hey, would you all run this cable? And that would take out because it's their pole, they can do what they want.
They still have to, I think, but their easement is
They still have
for.
to open up the easement because it's a different line of service. Electric company
Okay.
can't say, hey, I want to come. And the example that he was talking about, the $24 million, that's exactly what that was. It was a utility company saying, we're gonna get in the internet business, we're gonna build it across this farm, and the farmer's like, no, you got an easement to offer me electric service, not telecommunications service.
Mr. Plant,
But no, we haven't asked.
Okay, all right. And then my next question is originally it was 1,900,
Yes, sir.
17 customers.
Right,
What is that number today based off of the money that?
1,050.
1,058.
And that could vary a little bit. I mean, if inflation eases, it helps us. If inflation goes worse. But that's the number that we think, based on redrawing, that we can get to. And like I said, we tried to build it where we could touch as many possible homes as possible. With the idea also being that as money's become available, the backbone is there, then go on further out from that. Now, what we don't know is, and this is something that, the court I know is interested in, we're interested in, if in theory, because, you look at the cost of what we thought this was going to cost originally per household and what's going to cost it's double. Now, you can't compare other grants because it depends on your terrain, your geography, hills, where you got to go. Our commitment was we wanted to get to everybody in Franklin County. We said that in front of this court. That was our goal. But if you have somebody and they're 2 miles out and nobody in the middle wants it, and then they're a half mile off the road, I mean, that's the cost. That's the reality of the cost. We're not looking to make a profit. I can tell you competitors are never going to go there. They're just not going to do it. There is, like the Elon Musk, the Starlink, more expensive equipment, more expensive monthly charge, about not even half the speed. What is it? A fifth? A fifth of the speed. But, when you look in a lot of countries, that's what they're doing, not to pull poles. But the take rate really has alarmed us. Because we thought, based on the initial survey of Shadrick Ferry at 90%, we put this grant in at 70%. We thought that's safe. 50%, we never thought we'd be looking at 50%. And just think about anything. If you're running a business, if you build a business and you're assuming your customer load and you lose that percent of your customers and you still have the same fixed costs. I mean, that's the reality. We're not there yet because we're not building out that far, but as we get there, those are the numbers that are going to start, does it cost $25,000 to get to that last house or $30,000? For that homeowner, they want it, if they want it. The other thing we need to know is, if they don't want it, are we going out there? I mean, and you're asking one homeowner now to decide, but if they sell their property next year, the new one comes in and says, well, I'd build out here, or I'd build a business, or I'd do something here if y'all can do something. But there's no doubt. I mean, the fiber is reliable, faster. I mean, it is the way to go. Whether we're offering it or anybody else, that's just the reality of the business.
You referenced making your money back in 20 years.
We're not sure of that. That was our return on investment we had was 20.
Is that 5 million or is that the total project of the grant or the project, the total?
I'd have to go back.
I'd have to go back and look at the work papers, but because the way we budgeted is, as we're building and adding customers and generating that revenue, we use that revenue to build the next phase. So we basically are self-funding our expansion as we go. So
yeah, I understand that, but on paper, the plant board's putting 5 million toward it, where the county's putting 3 million toward it.
Right.
The grant is X. So when you reference making our money back in 20 years, is that 5 million or is that the total cost of the project?
What I'll do is I can get you those papers because that also includes the cost of maintenance, operation over the next 20 years. Poles are going to come down, lines have to be replaced. I mean, it's the whole cost of operation of the network. But we've got that on a spreadsheet. We'll be glad to send it to you. It may be, I mean, I think.
I got it.
But we'll get to that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I only got two real quick questions.
Sure.
One of them, do plant board have all of Franklin County, or is it any other, is Bluegrass got any of it or any other?
Well, we're only in Franklin County. We have, there's other people. I mean, AT&T's here, there's other systems here. We're the predominant carrier. What percentage are we of the business here?
Probably
75-80%.
But so, in our new statewide
No,
effort, it's
No.
y'all only in Franklin County?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nobody else, like Bluegrass is not in Franklin County.
Bluegrass, I don't think even offers.
They're not gonna do it at all.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay, the other question I have was, if you got your existing service, is that all copper?
No, it's a mix, it's a fiber coax mix. It's called a HFC, hybrid fiber coax. So basically we leave our head in on fiber and we run to the individual subdivisions, and when we get to the subdivisions, we change over to coax. We're in the process of rebuilding that to an all fiber network, but that's currently what we have in place today.
So that's, if you got service, it's not really gonna change that.
For the old system, we wouldn't build the older technology in the grant areas. The grant areas is all new, it's all fiber optic. So it's a different service than we offer our existing customers today. Well, half of our existing customers. This is a newer technology that we're building.
So I'm looking at this map that's in our document today that you referred to, I think.
Yes, sir.
The areas that have been dropped, the 900 that's not going to be here anymore, is it? They're not, these are the areas that don't have checks.
Right. So basically, these were all areas of part of the grants, and then they have been dropped. The areas that we're picking up are the shaded areas. So you can see each area still has part shaded, and those are the areas that make up the 1,058.
The ones that are shaded with the X's on them. Is that correct? That's what.
Yes.
So these don't have it. I don't know, that might just be.
Yeah. But then this is the original grant, and then the cross-X sections are the areas that we're going to.
So area 5 is not.
Yeah, except for that portion of area 5.
Yes, right. Okay.
And then area 2, mostly all of area 2. And then you got this area here. We drop this part. It's the further outreaches that were basically dropped.
Squire Tracy, you asked the question about our analysis. We went by anything we do on a capital project. We use what's called a net present value analysis, where we discount, the fees we're going to get in the future. We discount 4%. If we've estimated that if we have a 70% take rate, then our net present value of it will be a positive 1.9 million, the plan board, over 30 years. If we get a 50% take rate, it's a negative 2.9 million over 30 years. So that 1.9 million, if you want to talk about a profit or whatever, we don't really have a profit. What we do with those is we either reduce our user fees or we plow it back into the thing. There's no shareholders to pay. There's no dividends to pay. But that's, the way we keep our operations going. But like John said, the key for us is the take rate. And the Shadrick Ferry thing was a real shocker to us, because it was supposed to be this slam dunk where, we were going to have all these people come in, and when you see only half the people take it after 90% of the people say they're going to, when you ask them about it, it was splash cold water on us. So that was where we are.
Okay. Just so I think the Fiscal Court might be just interested. The way we operate is we basically have 3 silos. We have electric, water, and telecom. We don't cross revenues because they're not all the same customers. Electric supports electric, water supports electric, telecom supports telecom. We do interdepartmental loans, but those loans are paid back usually to the electric department with interest. So telecom customers aren't supporting electric, and electric aren't, because they're different people. In some cases, all 3 services are in the same household, but we don't ask a Frankfurt water customer to pay for electric or vice versa. So we keep those distinct. Our budget are separate. We account for them separate. And there's crossover customers, but they're different customers. So one's not subsidizing the other. And the one thing we wrestle with here is one of the things that the governor spoke of when we applied for this grant and we received it was not only the access, but the affordability. And we didn't think it was proper to raise the rates on all other cable customers to support the county project because one, obviously would not have been popular, but two, it gets at the affordability. If customers don't want it at the current rate, they're not going to take it at $20 or $30 a month more. That just kills the affordability and access. So we tried to keep that. And like I said, as John said, we don't have shareholders. We don't pay dividends. Any money we make in telecom goes right back into telecom. It doesn't support projects. Telecom revenue didn't support the reservoir. I mean, they stand alone and the accounting stands alone. And like I said, if you all need any records, see the documents, anything that went on internal, I think you've got a 9-page fact sheet there, which is pretty extensive, but anything you need to see, any backup, our people are available. A lot of you all have been in, met with our people and talked to them. It is what it is. So, and we'll provide you any information you need, sir.
John, thanks all of you for coming today. You know, I think we have, it's always been my opinion that we have a great asset in the community, municipally owned utility company that can, despite some folks' opinions in this community, can be a great asset and allow us to maneuver and manipulate the market at a better rate and at better service to our community than the larger utility companies. So I think we have a good opportunity. Of course, the district that I represent is the one that is was prone to benefit the most and is the one that's probably going to have the most disadvantage under the current predictions here. I want to pass along several questions.
Yes, sir.
That constituents have hit me with. Of course, this has been one of the things I get the most questions about. I have to say I'm disappointed that it's taken 4 months to get a presentation and get some information. I did call the plant board and tried to ask a meeting and request to get some information that I did. We not respond to constituents. I did not get a response.
You called us and asked for a meeting and we didn't.
Yeah. We could talk about that later, but
yeah, I'd like to hear because that's not the way we operate.
What the biggest question, I suppose, is how many, I know a lot of letters were sent out to constituents or to people who live in the community. I'm wondering, were all of the residents within the initial grant area, were those contacted with letters about potential service, or was it just the areas that have been identified to be served?
So basically what we've done, we did a complete walkout on the entire Franklin County. And as part of that walkout, we sent letters saying, hey, we're going to be, the plant board or contractor will be on your property, measuring poles. It goes back to what we have to do with Bluegrass and Katy. We have to measure those poles, turn them in and say, hey, this pole has to be replaced, or this pole is bad, we can't attach. So we basically do a walkout, and we walked out the entire county. One reason, even though we knew that there was going to be scaled back, is if we ever, the cost to do it, and as far as if we're still moving forward, trying to get additional grant funds or eventually building the county, we need to. So that way, even the design we do today has enough backbone fiber to serve the rest of the county. And so they got letters. Everybody should have got a letter at one point or time that said that we were going to be in the area doing some engineering work, not construction or building. Now, if the areas that we are building in, we send letters, we're building. It's a different letter. But yes, we did contact everybody because we did a complete walkout.
And I'm just going to ask you, so this is the first presentation that I know of that Fiscal Court's had since the initial proposal. So I'm just kind of asking you to reinforce formally a little bit, and I have some of this information, but so another question constituents have raised continuously is AT&T is run fiber underground, all over the county,
not all over
and below in many areas.
Some areas, yeah. In areas, believe me, not the areas we're talking about. But I can assure you that they're not.
Well, what is the opportunity to for the plant board to partner and or use existing infrastructure? Can you elaborate on that? I'm just asking a lot of questions. Would there be the potential to use existing infrastructure and where it already serves? I know Devil's Hollow Road, for instance, from Shelby County all the way to downtown Frankfort has a line that's been buried everywhere they can anyway. You know, as
I
one
don't think
example.
that's 18.
I thought it was AT&T, but I'm not sure.
That is a long distance carrier. They had to access our poles, so I'm trying to think. Great Plains Communications is actually who that is. But yeah, that route's going actually across the United States. We have to get done. But no, we have not asked them about that. Typically, we'll need a lot more fiber. So what you might have like a transmission route where you might be able to lease the fiber or lease some bandwidth on the fiber. But since this is a fiber network, it's fiber intensive. So a lot of the fiber is designed to go to your house. So I need multiples. I need 288 fiber. I don't need multiple. So that's why a lot of that is maybe hard for it to use that type of infrastructure, sort of like borrowing fiber from another provider. Yeah, it's Great Plains Communication, and that's Verizon. It's actually who that is.
Okay. Never had, I was told it was AT&T, but I've never been.
Yeah, that's a lot of, and we run into it internally. We have contractors come in and they might have a logo on their truck, and we try to make sure they remove it when they're out working for us and they have the Trackboard logo, because it just creates confusion and things of that nature.
I'm wanting to ask about the financials. You know, I know last fall when you all did a September update, you know, the price of everything in the US was doubled, and a lot of things have fallen. Prices of lumber, building materials have fallen by 50% in some instances. Are you seeing any indication that we're going to have a decrease? I expect, I know the answer is not going to be, because everyone in the US is trying to do the exact same thing right now.
$64 billion flooded into this, so I doubt it. I mean, the best thing can happen is it stabilizes and doesn't go up anymore. But, you know, we just did a long-term, well, not a long-term, 18-month buy on some fiber optics. I forgot what the percent increase was. It wasn't really bad. It did kind of lock us in. So we're starting to see it stabilize. Well, 6 months ago was a year lead for fiber optic cable. We're down to 6 weeks. So things are getting better. I don't know how that's going to go with the pricing. Like I said, my hopes is it just stabilizes, and that would be great just to see it stabilize.
You know, I look at a reliable internet connection as a lifeline now for a community. And I continuously talk to constituents, and others have been reckoning it to the great build out of electrical after World War II to all of our homes, that there was a lot of money put into that because it wasn't financially feasible to build those utilities for most of the US. We're there again, and exacerbated by the pandemic. And I'm very cognizant of people. You know, the church I grew up in Bald Knob on Lebanon Road, the parking lot is a good reception spot that during the whole pandemic, people had to drive their kids to sit in the parking lot for hours on end for them to do their homework. In other parts, that's a similar story all across this county. So it's, you know, it's critical, I think, that we find a way to serve as much of the county as fast as possible. And whether that's with the plant board or, you know, evaluating other options, I think is critical for this court to pursue at this point.
And if I just mentioned, sir, you know, the grant we have, what we're offering is not exclusive. If any other competitor wants to offer, they can go in there. But the reason we went in with this is the areas we went for this. And I remember Mr. Tracy and I talked, none of the money we're using are we using on existing areas. And this is clearly for unserved or underserved areas. We're not using any of this on existing systems. But it's expensive. The rural areas are just expensive because of the distance, not just between houses, but from the line to the house in the back.
Your take rate, I'm wondering about, you know, you at 100% take rate, you estimated that within a 30-year period, $36 million. Effectively, the system pays for itself twice over that point at 100%. Obviously, we're never going to get to that.
Doesn't look like it. No.
That's from March.
I think that might be
from September, the estimations of last year. So I'm wondering what, from those walkouts, from those meetings, from those letters, what kind of feedback you got, maybe countywide, about what the interest was in taking the utility if it were there. And if you can regionalize that to, was that part of your decision making and limiting areas, or was it more about just the the maximum number of people with the least distance in these cross-sect areas of the covered map.
The most customer.
with the existing 16 million. Because our goal was, and what we assured the state was, and in conversations with the court earlier, last year, was to spend every penny of the 16 million. And we told the state, once we hit the 16 million, we'll hit a dead stop unless we get some other grant funding.
Well, that I think is my final question
Yes, sir.
is, we're all aware that there's more money coming down the pipe for
Mhm.
broadband nationally. If you have any thoughts on what we're seeing coming, some of this federal money that is being set aside for connectivity.
Right.
You know, the state, I always thought it's interesting that the state set aside so much money for wired Kentucky
Mhm.
to connect Eastern Kentucky when 9 miles outside of the Capitol door, you couldn't get any kind of service or basic utility at all, and still can't in some instances, even with satellite options. Do you have any thoughts on
I mean,
what we're seeing coming?
You're exactly right. There is a lot of additional federal funds coming. Most of them, I think all of them, I know, have a match. Our goal that we want to pursue with the 2024 General Assembly is basically, look, we were in the first wave, us and a handful of other cities. We are the only ones that got caught in this inflation tsunami, for lack of a better term, that it hit. No one saw that coming. Future grant applications were able to take advantage of that. Our argument is that the state has the flexibility to give us and those other cities some, I don't know, dispensation to basically be able to get some additional funds to offset that inflation. That's going to be what we go to the 2024 session with and say, you know, we've talked to our representatives, we've made some other overtures to see if we can't get some help. Anything we pick up $1 million here, $1 million there, whatever we pick up, we keep adding houses. Anything we get would go. And the thing I mentioned earlier was, we're not charging any indirect, any admin cost for this at all. It's all going into the construction and the materials. We're not taking 10% off the top to cover. I mean, it's 100% going into the grant.
And that's one of the benefits of a public or a municipal utility, that we can do some of that. You know,
I haven't done one to fund this hour anyway, so.
I question whether we can do a little bit more. You know, I look at the fiscal court as a partner in this with our financial contribution and our interlocal agreement, which I'm hoping to get a copy of. I haven't seen that just yet.
And y'all got it. Not we, you know, we.
But I'm wondering if you know, again, as a partner, that I think that it's critical for this fiscal court to consider lobbying on our own behalf to the legislature for funding. And I'm wondering if we can't have a better position because we are a municipally owned utility, the only one in the state of Kentucky, right?
No, there are others. No,
There's others. There are.
Yes. Yeah.
But if we can look at going ahead and running main lines to serve some of these areas without connecting individual homes, if we can go ahead and get some of the base infrastructure in, have you explored any other options like that to, you know, my Flat Creek, 421, all the areas of the northern part of it's the northern part of the county that's so rural and has some topographical issues, right? Have we looked at a way to get service to those areas? Maybe just the base infrastructure, as I'm going to call it. Maybe that's not the correct term, but running main arterial lines that then can be expanded, if that might give us a better position for funding in the future.
Yes, so basically, let's get you off. So basically what we did on this design is when we leave our existing area, or let's just say our head end, we're taking enough backbone fiber to serve all of Franklin County, not just what the hatched areas are. Actually, we're looking at having 2 remote sites in these areas because and we knew this going in, there's some of these far areas of northern Franklin County, we can't reach from our head end. So we're gonna have to have an active piece of equipment. So we've designed 2 sites out in the county that we're working on to feed there. That way in the future, when we go past to reach those further areas, we have the ability to do it.
I'm assuming both of those are probably other side of the river and north.
Yeah, we're kind of
the
looking at the county fire departments. But yeah, and that kind of makes sure that, and it does a couple things. One, it makes sure that we expand and get outside of our optimal budget, that we can reach these far areas of northern Franklin County. It also gives a little bit more resiliency in the network. So that way we don't have one fiber cut take down all of northern Franklin County. So we're trying to, we're trying to make the network robust enough that customers will enjoy it.
Okay. So for now.
And I do want to apologize, sir, that if we didn't get back to you timely, and I do apologize for that. I'm very sorry, no, seriously, because
We'll talk about it.
well, yeah, anytime, I mean, that's, yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Gentlemen, thank you again for being with us. And so perhaps Chairman Bumba, Vice Chairman Snyder, or Director Hiller, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the options that were worked on internally by the plant board and then taken to state officials so that they could assist in
Making the decision.
helping with that based on their purview across the Commonwealth, what was happening. Just, and I think representatives from this body, I think, met with the former judge executive, maybe, and some internal officials last year outside of the entire body, and the body was never briefed on, unfortunately, internally on that meeting. So I think some of that may have started after that, or just to be helpful
Sure. So
for this body.
So basically, when we understand that we're going to have an issue covering the entire area because of the cost. We started looking at different options. One is you reduce scope in every area by a percentage rate of, what your overage is. That kind of got, that was an option. That was option 2 of it. The other option was, let's do the most we can to pick up the most number of houses in Franklin County. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. Get many customers we can on. We talked to the state, hey, this is the issues we're having. These are the 2 options we've kind of come up with. What do you want? And they're like, submit them both. We will pick. And so we submitted both options to the state, and the state, they agreed. It's like, yeah, we want our grant money to get as many customers on as we can. And so that's basically how option 2 was 857 homes, and option 1 was the 1,050.
That's 57 your map says.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So just to kind of piggyback off Squire Sebastian, 2 plans that you all cut down and said, okay, I truly feel like we can do option 1 or 2. Ultimately, the state's going to decide which option that is. And it sounds like there was a meeting with the past administration. So the past county judge, was he made aware that the 1917 was going to be reduced?
Yeah, well, we basically called, just saying, we got some issues, we need to look at this. These are what we're up against, and these are the numbers and what we need to do, what do you think? And
Right.
he's like, yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, and I'll be very honest, I'm not speaking for the former, he can speak for himself. Obviously, he was not happy. He basically let us know very quickly that this was not good. And what it's a little stronger now, that, what were the options? We went through them, and he basically said, it's your all's call. It's your grant. We're co-partners with you, but it's your grant application. You got to do it. You've got the engineering. You've looked at it. And we basically said, we didn't have to have permission to submit it. We submitted it. We let him know we were submitting the revised, but it was, like I said, we'll take the hit because we put the final 2 plans together, our engineering, our program people, we submitted it. The state looked at it, and we thought we came up. One other option that Adam mentioned, which the board rejected, was we could just said, look, we're going to pick one area. We're just going to go where we can make the most bang for our buck right off. Closest proximity, most return. And we said, that's not fair. We submit this for the whole county. We got to try to get something in every part of the county. So that was the direction. But like I said, we went through it. We shared some maps. We looked at it. We revised maps. The board looked at it and said, no, that's not, but they're engineering people. And then we, in a board meeting, approved the submission of the revised maps to the state. And then at that point, we waited on them, and they asked a bunch of questions, went back and forth, on the numbers and that. And they were very helpful, but they did their due diligence.
And we had an option of pulling the plug.
Yeah.
That was the do nothing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Which
And it can turn out, if we pull the plug, we can maybe go back and get more, or we can go back and get nothing.
So with all that being said,
Yes, sir.
and then looking at the map and looking at some of the area that's in my district, as far as like the far end, the Gregory Woods, the Union that butt up to Scott County and this, that, knowing that Spectrum, the charter group, knowing that they're coming this way
Right.
through the Scott County. Has there ever been conversations to say, hey, if this area is open, if you all want to try to feed that area,
They can do it.
just trying to think of something that would resolve it.
Technically, right now, they can apply for grant money for that area if they want it.
And is that based off of a match?
They just put up a match. Somebody would have to put up a match, yeah.
Yeah, and there's, you know, when the last grant we submitted, so basically all the areas that do not have the hatch are considered unserved or underserved, and they are available for grant match. So AT&T, Spectrum, fixed wireless providers, anybody can apply for those areas now. There's nothing that Plainmore can't stop them. We're not.
No, we don't have an exclusive franchise at all. No.
Even though that you all were awarded the 11.
Right, the grants that the option 2 only covers the hatch area. Everything else is open for any provider that wants to come in.
When they approved that second option, it essentially released those areas and made them unserved again.
But as we said before, the key on it, now we can't speak for our competitors, obviously. But there has to be, for them to move in, they got to look at the return on investment. And there's not money to be made on some of these areas, just because the geography.
Now, there may be on a specific area right near the border where they're building out, you know, there may be, but if that's the case, the fact that we have to go through miles and miles and miles to get there, and they're right going to be right on the Scott County border, you know, it puts them at an advantage, and we just have to throw our hands up and say, yeah, it puts them at an advantage.
Or go through the woods or the forest and cut trees. I mean, it's.
So ultimately it could be beneficial for a group like that to pick up those outlying.
That's how the planning board's expanded over the years. We've never applied for a grant, but you gonna have a couple of houses get built or a farm get subdivided, just like where you live. We expanded that area, you know, and we have, I think we spend $100,000 a year on expansion like that. It's just in our budget, and it's for those small 3 or 4 house developments that, you know, we build to.
Right.
It'll be the same thing for them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've got one more question. I swear I ain't gonna ask you anything else. No, I'm not gonna ask you anymore, but is there any assistance, financial assistance for families who might be economically depressed right now?
There's an ongoing federal initiative, expanded broadband grants or something, where it started during the pandemic, and it essentially gives $30 a month to defray the cost of broadband, and it applies to, it's pretty expanded category. If your child qualifies for free or reduced lunch, or there's several other, and we've worked with the cabinet. We've got over 1,000, close to 1,000 folks.
But it's one of the most
already.
It's the most underutilized program out there. It's federal. You have to apply and get eligibility. Then you tell us. Then you actually get billed, and we bill the federal government for that share. But all of Frankfort Independent certified everybody for free and reduced. So every household there qualifies, and it's just been a handful compared to who could be eligible. A lot of Franklin County is eligible. There's money there. There's millions there that household could get every month. And we've gone to schools. We've gone to open houses. We've passed out brochures. We put mailers in the backpacks. The families just aren't applying.
And it's not limited to programs. It can be self-service. So if you need the Wi-Fi hotspot, right, that qualifies.
So there's a lot of money there that's going not just in Kentucky, I mean nationwide, that's going untapped.
That's a federal program, correct?
It is, and our customer service folks, we have trained our customer service folks. They will work with them to work through the eligibility papers, because you know anything we can do for our customers to reduce their bill, we still get the money for the service. And it's just the federal government picking it up through the grant program.
Yeah, but we can't apply for the eligibility. They have to go online to the federal government and get the eligibility. And once they're certified, then we can start billing for them and reduce their bill.
I've just a comment. I've had service from plant board cable for ever since I put it in, I guess, because I live in Huntington Woods. I don't know how it got down there, but thank God it did. But I don't see how people can do without it, really. Just in this day and time.
To elaborate on what you were just saying, just in case anybody's watching this on cable 10 or something, that program can also be supportive if you don't have an internet connection. I know the city partnered up with the local schools.
Right.
Pandemic to provide hotspots.
Yes.
If you live in a rural
Yeah.
part of the state, you can get financial assistance to have
Okay,
it.
we
You have
put
no
in-
other option. There
And
are
we
some
put in
options
numerous
for assistance.
hotspots, free Wi-Fi spots around town.
Yeah.
And continue to do it when there's all the parks, anytime we can do it, we try to put them in. At no charge.
Just thank you all again
Yeah.
for being here. And again, I don't think anybody wants to be here, but we're here.
No.
And it definitely sounds like communication is probably why we're here, or lack thereof. My question, I kind of circle back to these identified areas that are not going to be serviced.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure, I hope that you all can speak for the plant board. So my question would be, would it be okay that if the county judge takes time, does his due diligence to reach out to others to say, hey, we've got some areas that are not going to be serviced. We just can't get to them. It's just not feasible. But you may be butted up to this area, or, you know, I don't know who runs Owen County. I do know that, you know, news broke that Swallowfield and Swallowfield and Donald's Ferry and all that road wasn't going to get it. And, I've definitely taken calls over that area. But so my question is, would it be okay to give him an opportunity to reach out just so we can see if we can get this
That's his-
county
that's-
blanketed?
As far as we're concerned, that's his
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
We have, due to circumstances, we've had to abandon that for the time being.
Mm.
Our eventual goal is to try to get it built out. This grant was going to accelerate that process.
Understand?
But if you got areas that abut Scott County or somebody where they're building out to that border and it makes economic sense now, you know, it's a private company, they're gonna have the return on investment, all that kind of stuff. They may still not do it, even though you think it makes sense, because they might not be making enough money off it. So,
Understand.
but no, I mean, it's really the judge's call and your all's call. If y'all want to encourage that, you know, we wish you luck, because we want to see these people get
Service.
We would like to provide the service, but we're in a position economically where we're just hamstrung by, like John said, not wanting to charge this off the back of our electric customers, our water customers. Telecom has to be a self-sustaining entity. And, you know, we loan each other money and pay it back with interest. But, you know, each of the three lines really does operate on their own. So.
No, I totally understand. I just,
No,
again, I think there's a commitment, and I think.
And we're gonna go to this
Smart
2024 session, and we would love to partner with you all to try to get additional funding. Because we think we've got a story to tell that we were in that first wave. No other group of applicants were hit with 40% the first year on parts and supplies. I mean.
Off the top of your head, do you all know how many participants or how many entities participated in that first round?
It was
Right.
8 municipals, and I think I know AT&T did, and.
Spectrum with Spectrum Charter, yeah. Charter, one of them got the biggest up in northern Kentucky,
Yeah.
but it was a big area.
It's a dozen or so statewide. Most of it in number of grantees are the municipals. That's not a lot of population. I mean, the big carriers, the Spectrum and those folks, they're gonna be huge numbers in terms of population. And the value of it's probably gonna be more, but I know the 8 municipals, I think, got the grant.
What about other government entities? Do you all know how many applied for the
That would
50-50
that would
match?
be that would be the municipal.
Yeah.
The municipals,
Yeah.
as far as, you know, we're a quasi, you know,
Right.
we're a creation of the city, but similar to Owensboro and Bowling Green and
Yeah.
other folks that do this as well.
So if there were 15 other, you all would say that they are
Our goal when we
50
approached
to 70% over budget?
when we approached the 2023 General Assembly, we took the list of everybody who got in that first round and made the pitch on behalf of all of us.
Yeah.
We don't have their financials. We've talked to some of them, but we didn't just say, just take care of Franklin. We said, everybody in this first round.
Right.
But when you said, we couldn't speak for the planning board, I'm chair, John's vice chair. That just leaves Steve Mason. And I told Steve Mason, he might be chair after lunch today. So I said, if this doesn't go well, I said, you're moving up, buddy.
But I hope you can.
I think they were on over. It's just very, you know, on how much I think most of the idea was, yeah, we're over, but we're never going to get built any cheaper.
Right.
So.
And I think the other thing too is, and I don't know about, it's hard to compare apples to apples because everybody's got their own financial people, and, you know, God love David Denton. He is an extremely conservative guy, which really
Very
helps
smart.
us in terms of, we don't have long-term debt. We don't have, we're very, very, very conservative on all this. And, I think he might have estimated, I don't think he estimated when he made those estimates and our staff made those estimates. He didn't just estimate the 40% increase this year. He built in increases that were more than that you've usually seen in previous years.
For the whole term of the
For the whole
project.
term of the project. So, our cost, it's a less optimistic cost forecast than maybe some others have done. But honestly, if I'm going on to a 30-year project, I want to know how much it's going to cost really, and not a good estimate.
And the David Den's, to show we're down to one small debt left on the head end building. Everything else we're paid off. We don't have any debt.
Well, and again, I just thank you all for coming. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you for the update again. I think a lot of it is maybe the lack of communication from, again, whoever. I'm not trying to point blame, but I am glad to hear that you all aren't coming with a take it or leave it. I don't think anybody likes that or appreciates that stuff. So,
And we want to get done. I mean, the only reason we got into this is, like I said, not to make money, because we don't make money. But this is important for the county.
Yes,
This is
absolutely.
for the residents, for economic development. To get this out there is important. And we appreciate your time, Judge. Thank you, sir.
But one of the things we do, we do need your participation in this to keep going. If you all do decide to pull that participation, which I don't think you're going to do, but whatever, you all will do what you do. If you all pull that participation,
We lose it all.
we can't do this.
No, I totally understand that.
So, but I just want to make sure y'all are with it.
A few other questions, Judge. I'm wondering if you can just kind of take a step back for me and help me understand, walk through November 10th of 2022, the state, you presented two options to the state. They said they preferred one, but for cost, you took option two. Did the former judge or any?
No. State chose.
State
We
judge?
offered them two options.
Right.
They
Okay.
chose.
Yeah.
They chose covering the most.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, those
most
customers is what y'all said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Was there any opportunity, did the fiscal court or the previous judge have any input in evaluating those options at all, or was that, it was?
What about evaluating? You mean, was he aware of, was
there an opportunity to comment on the preferred before the state made the decision, I suppose, is just what I'm asking.
Well, I think they
But
answered
you
that when they
probably
said
already-
that they had a conversation.
yeah,
with
we
you.
shared the
They
maps. I
answered
mean,
that,
they knew
guys.
what was going, yeah.
And honestly, we were in a little bit of a weird situation. I mean, we're in that kind of lame duck period where the elections have been held, but the new folks haven't been sworn in and,
Yeah.
how do we want to do it? And at the end of the day, as John said, the state was going to make this decision. That was what they told us. I mean, even if the county weighed in on, and I don't know if y'all would rather go serving fewer people and just do a percentage cutback. But, to me, serving the most amount of people has always made the most sense. So, I mean, we've been happy to do that, but we were, the calendar hurt us there a little bit, I think.
Sure.
And we had multiple meetings with state officials, them telling us, and they said, of course, they said, can't you come up with the money? And we said, no, we don't have an extra, we don't have 50% match on another 16 million. They offered, they said, well, can you come up a little more? We put an extra 250. We put several $100,000 in to get a little more match to cover a few more areas in a couple of the regions.
If you had to estimate, or is there an estimate, if you were to build out to the total system as initially planned, what is the gap?
I mean, if inflation continues at the rate it is, 32, 34 total?
Within a build out before 2026, right?
Yeah.
So that's in there fully.
32 million.
16.
So an extra 16, 17.
Yeah, and the further we go out, the more expensive it gets,
Right.
just because of geography.
Just wanted to verify that. The final question, I think, is there, there's some new technologies, these satellite systems
Starlink.
on the poles.
Elon Musk, well, not just that, it's actually they're actually
Geosynchronous, yeah.
orbiting.
I know cities working on an ordinance about what can be attached to poles and
Okay.
all that kind of thing. I'm wondering about options that we could maybe look at if we can't get a service provider in, if we were to run a main line and have some regionalized sort of community hotspots of sorts, free wireless at the old schools or something.
Yeah.
If that's something we could, have you looked at any other alternatives? I guess is my question. Any other new technologies, or could we?
There is some new technology out there, but Franklin County doesn't lend itself well to them.
Yeah.
All kinds of topography. You know, there is a fixed wireless provider, there's a couple of them around here, but they have the same issues. Get down in that holler, you can't use the wireless. It's the same issue you're having with Starlink. Because his neck, you know, rotates around, it's, you don't have a longer dropout period, so it's just the county we live in. It's not flat. Or Blackburn.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So moving forward,
Yes, sir.
that's where I want to go.
Okay.
If we run into future problems or issues like we have, you know, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around this because, you know, we made the agreement in October 21.
Mhm.
The first indication of higher cost was in March of 22.
Mhm.
6 months passed before you met with the judge,
Mhm.
before the election.
Mhm.
You submitted new options to the state in November. So
And during that 6 months, we weren't not doing it.
no,
We were meeting
got a
the
whole list of
state, we were redoing, yeah, we were, yeah.
you were turning over rocks, looking at every cost option. I understand this, but my thing is, you've got to look at it from my perspective. We're the representatives of the people here
Yes, sir.
in the community, and we go a year and 2 months before we hear what you agreed upon is not working.
Mhm.
And it's not your fault per se, but I just want to make sure in the future to help you out
Mhm.
that you make sure that we know. Because we got to let the people know where
Right.
we're going. We can't have these gotcha moments. And so moving forward, when we start this bill, when we get these things going, if we see perceived cost increases, things like that, I mean, 143% in engineering is nuts to me. I know there's a lot more to it than a lot of people understand.
And I truly, on behalf of us, I apologize.
Oh, no.
And we were thinking, and to be honest, we were looking for, could we get extra money from the state? Would they let us? Was there any way that we were meeting with him? Could we redo something? Just any way to try to negate or mediate the,
You've given a very detailed
Oh, yeah.
response to it, and I appreciate that, and I think the public would appreciate
yeah,
it.
and believe me, the pain behind that sheet is even worse.
Oh, I get it. I bet y'all had some sleepless nights and these phone calls, you know, you were gonna have to make, and even coming today. It would have been a lot easier on us or me in particular if I'd had any indication.
Right.
But anyway, I just want to make sure when we're moving forward that we have a better line of communication. I think we will. I know we will. But that's the only thing I have to say. And I appreciate you guys coming in today to explain everything. I appreciate the wealth of information you gave us.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all coming in.
Judge, thank you, sir. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you all. Thank you
very much. All righty. To move on to the judge's report. Sure.
I attended the Ford banquet, you know, to represent the Fiscal Court, and they, you know, kind of acknowledge us for being a partner on Juneteenth weekend and things like that. Went to the emergency management meeting, you know, we talked about first responders, procedures for the county. Went to a really nice and spoke at the outdoor classroom unveiling of Franklin County, dedicated for Adam Hyatt. That was a really special thing that we got to attend.
I also want to acknowledge that this is Franklin Heritage Week, May 7th through the 13th, so I think that's
Important thing, especially being the birthday today, kind of all landed at the same thing. Last night I attended and spoke at a really cool thing honoring Mr. Watkins, who was the youngest freedom rider. Really cool story, you know, at 13 he started protesting, you know, as far as equal rights, and down in Mississippi, he's the oldest one, he's 73 now, he's written a book. Pretty cool. He's been arrested 109 times in Mississippi, you know, just fighting for what he believes and we all believe in. So that was really, really cool. This is National Corrections Week also. Deputy Jack and I went out there on Monday and got to look around and see things in the jail. They're doing a great job out there. Then also, you know, obviously today we're going to throw a big appreciation lunch for all the county employees, and I appreciate you all, Fiscal Court sponsoring and paying for that, so it's no cost to the county. So I think these are all good things. So it's been busy, but Franklin County has a whole lot going on right now, and I'm proud to serve with you all and represent the court in these functions. So thank you. I'm gonna ask Mr. John Mitchell to come on up now. to Give us a road department update.
Morning, John.
Well, let's see, Governor's Place. Well, we're still there.
That turned into a big project. I knew it would, but we finally got some decent weather. Pipes are in. We just gotta pour another head wall and re-pour the driveways. So hopefully middle of next week, we'll be done with that one. That was been on the books for probably 2 years, something like that. So that's one now.
John, they really appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it just took a lot to get it worked out, but we got it. Let's see, we started wide open roadside mowing. That's an everyday thing now, for sure. Looks like the paint truck is done. I think they've got everything I had wrote down for them. I think they're done with all their paint striping. We're still patching. They are paving. Finally got started this week. Stony Creek's done. North Stony is done. Probably gonna start on Onan's Bend tomorrow. They should complete our list maybe this week. So that'll be all the paving as of right now for this fiscal year. Other than that, really, that's about it. You know?
John, I appreciate the update. That is a whole lot, what he just said there.
I got the biggest stuff.
Thanks, sir.
Well, 31st on the turn.
What about that? That's a hell of a way to go out, John.
I'm out.
Well, John, I haven't read this, but I'm sure I know what it says. And before we get there, I just want to thank you for all your years of service. You know, you've done a lot for this community, and road department is the backbone. I think of a lot of things that go on here. So I personally want to thank you, and I know all the magistrates will when we get to that point. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. John, anybody have any questions for John?
I'm wondering, I've been fielding a lot of questions and comments
In the community about the city's change from yard waste particularly. I'm wondering if you're seeing much increase.
Last week, there wasn't an increase last week. It was actually down. Today, there were 5 or 6 already there when I left. I don't know how it's been this morning, but I would assume it's probably going to be busy.
Let's see what we're doing so far. Thank you. All right, has there been any conversations?
I guess has the city called over to
No.
Joe?
No,
Still-
still no conversation. Probably need to reach out. I'm still not sure how all that.
Well, my presumption is within something, they should have reached out to the county.
Yeah.
So where is that?
Like communication on the other side, so I guess we have to kind of pick up in that void.
Absolutely, yeah. But I'm glad that it's got probably the right thing for the community as of right now, so.
And Judge, I seem to have seen our vacant solid waste coordinator's phone number circulated as an option to call at one point on some social media. So maybe a conversation about that as well.
Yeah, and that might still be active, but I'd say that.
I'm sure, but,
those calls,
you know,
and I
just-
know Mitzi's been, stepping in a lot, everyone's kind of jumping in to kind of help until we get that position filled.
But those calls are being answered.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
not,
Calls
not
and emails are
happening.
being answered, and I know.
Calls are being responded
Yeah,
to.
and I know Mitzi's come to me a couple times and maybe kick some stuff to John because we felt like he would be the one to answer those questions. So yes, we are answering everything that comes our way.
That was just my comment. More was that I don't know where I saw that, but if the city's putting out that number, maybe they should put the main number to here.
Yeah, I need to schedule a meeting to talk about all that.
All of those numbers seem to roll now. Some
think so.
internal issue has happened with the phone system. So if you call direct lines, they all roll to the front desk now for some reason rather than rolling to the direct offices. So that's something that needs to be looked at.
Okay.
I had mentioned it to the IT coordinator, and I know every staff member has a long list, so.
Perfect.
I'm sure that's number 75.
Squire Blackburn.
Before you sit down, John, I try to forward every email that I get from folks in the community thanking you and the road department and all the guys down there. And I get calls, and I also just talking to people on the street get compliments for you guys, and I just really appreciate it. You've done a tremendous job, and all of you have.
Thank you. John, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Squire Blackburn, before I forget, Jack and I had a meeting with Robert yesterday about the that last email about Pine Woods and stuff. So we are taking care of that. Figure that out. Yep. All righty. So we have the minutes. Anybody have any questions on any of that stuff? County clerk's claim. We got anybody here to talk about that? Is that just standard? Okay. All right. I'm going to ask our treasurer to come up. Amy, if you all noticed, ditched out on the first hour of the meeting. So,
Good
how's Amy
morning.
doing today?
Great.
Good.
So, the budget transfer and the cash transfer stems from the amendment we did last month. And since that's approved and in, I went ahead and did the budget transfer and the cash transfer to get those funds where they needed to be.
Any questions for Amy on that? Seeing no questions, head on to the cash transfers, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Squire Tanner.
We're on number 5, is that right, authorization for these transfers? I do have a question about the professional service. You raised it $688,000, am I reading that correctly?
That was the current budget. It was 688.
88, we're raising it 425.
And we got $425,000 of claims against the professional service?
No, but the court
It approved to use reserves for 425 to cover, I believe it was,
Park.
yes.
All that work we're doing
Professional
out there at Lakeview
services.
Park, we voted on as far as traffic stuff.
Yes. Mhm.
Thank you. James, cheers.
Okay. And so it's hard to believe, but we just finished our 10th month of the budget year. So I've got that report for you. The receipts were 28,605,000. Expenditures 27,841,000, leaving us with an excess of 763,000. Adding in the fund balance from last year, giving us a balance of 23,341,000.
Any questions for Amy on that? Okay.
And then I've got your expenses and revenues
Treasurer's
today.
report. Any questions on the treasurer's report for Amy? Amy, I just want to say I appreciate you. You know, it's been a learning experience, I think, for everybody here, going through the first budget and everything. And I'm proud to have you on this team. And I think it's going well.
Thank you.
Good deal. Seeing no other questions. Thank you, Amy. And now payment of bills. Does anybody have any questions for Kim on the payment of bills? Squire Sebastian.
Judge. On page 2 of the general fund, 0150700705, computer essentials, it's sort of a non-distinct description. So what kind of computer essentials is it a computer? Is it a?
I don't have the invoice with me, but I believe it was, a monitor and stuff like that for the new planner, Tina.
Okay, so it's IT, you go into the planning office?
Yes.
Okay, and can you talk to us about, also on that page, 0150800723, the maintenance vehicle for the 2020 Dodge Ram?
Jack or Amy can explain that one.
Oh, yeah. So, this one's fun. Let me talk for a second. So,
Come in, Mike, and see.
in December,
It's on. It's ready.
In December, the road department had a vehicle that was totaled out.
Right.
And so we got an insurance claim on it. The claim check was for $16,000. So we were in a position where we were gonna need to buy a new road department truck, and they were running about $60,000. So we got creative. We had in our maintenance fleet, we had a Ford F-250 that our maintenance guys didn't need. So what we did was transferred that vehicle to the road department, and then we used the $16,000 to give to the sheriff for his Ram truck that our maintenance guys could use. So saved the county about $44,000.
Basically moving vehicles around.
Just
within
swapping
county
the
government.
inventory. But
Yeah.
Because it didn't need a 3/4 ton truck.
they did not need the truck at all. It was overkill for the maintenance guys, and John happily took that truck. It suited all of his needs.
Thank you, Jack. Any other questions? Squire Wisman? Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going. Squire Sebastian, we're still going.
Okay.
I apologize.
Page 5, under general fund. So property taxes on Buena Vista, so was that a catch-up from where it transferred over to us?
That was a tangible, right?
I'm not sure, it doesn't specify whether it was tangible or
What was
anything.
the amount?
It was tangible.
$925.05.
That was a tangible tax. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Also, on that same page, 0191000595, were these 32 Heart Saver cards, I guess, envisioned as part of the wellness program at the beginning of the fiscal year? I just don't recall talking about that in the benefits committee or the compensation committee, and maybe somebody can just help me understand where that kind of came to play.
I can speak on that.
Okay.
When we did the CPR AED training, we wanted to supply cards to those employees so they can have and show if they have to perform their 2-year certification. So we paid for those out of the wellness fund.
Okay. And that's a planned, is that going to be a planned activity going forward? Because in the 4 years I served on benefits and
Yes, we want to
compensation,
plan
that
that.
was never discussed, which is a good thing.
Yes, we
Not
want
saying
to
it's
do
not a good
that. We
thing.
had to postpone it in 2021 because of COVID, but yes, we will continue to
It
work
will
with
be
it.
something that we will do
Yes,
going
ma'am.
forward, and that will be something internal that our staff can
Yes.
take care of. And I understand I have to keep mine, and it's just the cost of the card with the program. I know how that works. I
Yes,
just
correct.
want to make sure everybody understands how that works, and that's not something that is being an interdepartmental transfer from one fund to another to demonstrate that. On page 2 of the fire, where the uniform expenditures show up, is that still a continuation of bills that were sent to an out-of-service email account, and that's still being caught up? Because that was the explanation last time when we had like 4 pages of that.
Chief Brewer, you want to speak on that?
I can speak on that. So, towards the end of the fiscal year, Dawn puts out a deadline, and the people that haven't spent all their funding to that point, usually they'll hang on in case they ruin a couple pairs of pants. So you'll notice a lot of those are smaller numbers, and they'll come in at the end of the year, and if there's something they've used more of throughout the year, when she puts that final deadline out, they'll make that order for those last few items. So that's typically pretty common for that number of orders.
All right, so that's not part of that catch-up?
No,
This
no,
is-
it's not.
All right, okay, thank you. I was wondering if it was still
Yes, last time
being
it was
caught
an
up.
email
Yep.
issue, but this
That's
time,
right.
yes, due to the deadline, she's
Okay.
put out.
All right, thank you. That's all the questions I have in regard to this today. Thank you.
Squire Wisman?
Squire Sebastian covered everything except for a request I would like to have. Since I've been on the court, there's not been an update about the cost of the comprehensive plan. We paid a $51.94 on that. I'd like to see where we are with the total on that contract.
No, made note of that, yes, that's a good call there. All righty, any other questions for Ken? Seeing no other questions, we're gonna keep moving. Next one is the second reading of the ordinance. I believe we're all up to speed on. Is there any conversation about that? All right, seeing no other. Chief Brewer, would you like to come up?
Yes.
How are you doing today?
Doing good.
Good.
Hope everyone's doing well this morning. So the fire department uniforms, we put this out to bids every year. We advertised it in the State Journal and had a bid opening on May 3rd. We received a total of 4 bids. Everything should be in your packet. Chief Others and myself, and along with Dawn, went back and we compared all the bids. And we are recommending that Gall be awarded the bid uniform for the next fiscal year, starting July 1st.
This is mine.
I assume the things that there are no bids on, we don't need.
Some of that is due to a discontinuation. Sometimes a certain shirt that we spec will discontinue and we have to look at a different option. So that's part of what that no bid is.
And that was taken into account when they did these numbers.
It was.
Chief Brewer, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'm going to ask Betty Jo to come up. I believe we have a guest in the house, Jamie Bennett. How you guys doing today?
Good, how are you?
Everything's lovely, thank you.
I'm doing great, so this is good news.
That's good.
We like good news.
Bring good news to the court. We love
Yes.
This is the authorization to renew with United Healthcare's, the county's provider for health insurance. I'm gonna go to the background of this. Humana is exiting the health insurance market at December 31st. So with the exit, the administrative service was proactive in the manner. We met with Jamie, and Jamie delivered 6 choices to the Administrative Services Committee on the health insurance. We wanted to start early. We didn't want to start in like September or October because everybody would be competing for the same insurance. Keep in mind, there's only going to be 2 providers in the state of Kentucky left, United Healthcare and Anthem. That's it. Jamie with the Beam Group brought us 6 proposals. And the committee met on April 28th and decided to go with alternate 2. Okay, alternate 2 is lowering the health insurance by 3% for the county. Keep in mind too, that is also lowering 3% for county employees that has dependent coverage. So this is awesome coverage. And there is only a slight change. It's going to be the same coverage. There's just a slight change with the prescription drugs. It's like $5 up, $10 up, 5 down. It's not very much at all. And it also, the new specialty drugs basically is the tier we have now. We would be paying 25 to 35% for the higher cost drugs. There's going to be a flat $250 fee for that. One thing, this is very, very important. All contributions paid by the employee toward their deductible and their current Humana plan will roll over to the United Health plan. I'm going to say that again. Anybody that has put any money towards their deductible for their out-of-pocket, that money will roll over to United Healthcare. The employees will not lose a dime of that money. I think that is just excellent. And it will go into the end of the year, of course, 2023, and it will start back over again January 1 with your deductible. Okay. There also are other improvements with this United Healthcare option 2, which a single plan will receive $200 FSA card. It's 200. Okay.
$500.
Yes, 200 for a single plan that employees can use for copays, urgent room treatment, and there's some other things in the no urgent room. I'm sorry. No ER. But urgent care you can.
Urgent care, yes.
Urgent care.
No ER.
And a person that's got a family plan, spouse plan, or children plan is going to receive $500.
If I could add.
Yes.
Something real quick there. Not only is the deductible credit being moved over, but so is the OLP, which is each plan contains a maximum amount of pocket. Once an employee hits that, they don't pay another dime. It also is rolling over. But essentially what we've done with United Healthcare's little twist that they call Care Cash is employees can go on, get on their phone, get on their computer, go to an app, download basically a debit card. It's a smart card. You can't go buy Buffalo Trace with it, but you can pay for your copay at the doctor's office, whether it be your primary care physician or a specialist. The reason emergency room is not included in there is there's a tendency to overuse ER services. We're trying to keep people out of the ER, get them to do things like virtual visits, pick up the phone, call. I think I got strep throat. Okay, send me a picture. You know, those are things. There's no charge for those things right now, but we don't want people going and creating $1,000 ER bills that simply cost the plan money. Probably the one thing that I want to stress that I think is, I don't want it to get lost in this because there is a 3% savings, but most importantly in my mind is, and again, let me applaud the court for being proactive and not reactive. And that is, we're going to lock a rate in, not from now till January 1. We've got an 18-month lock on this rate, which is huge in today's healthcare world.
It's awesome. Additionally, there's going to be an improvement on the wellness benefit. Right now, we have Go 365, and you can earn up to $300 in gift cards. With the new United Healthcare Rewards Program, you can earn up to $1,000 in gift cards. So I'm going to emphasize this again, like for a single employee that has insurance, myself, you're going to receive, you can earn up to $1,000 in gift cards, and I'm going to get that $200. So this is excellent. I would like for Sherry, if you don't mind, to speak. You sit on the Administrative Services Committee, and we've had a couple of meetings with that, and also Richard Tanner sat on there, and anything you all would like to add, be great.
And one of the key things just to keep in mind is we reviewed 6 plans across the remaining providers in this space. And what necessitates this is that we know that there's one provider that we're currently with that's pulling out of the space. So we're trying to be proactive rather than waiting until everyone else starts to begin to do the renewal process. And in doing so, we look across the universe of healthcare claims in county government, and they have been few. And that is I guess a tribute to, county employees staying busy and active, doing their job, busy and active lives that they leave outside of here. So the plus is we were able to see some positive benefits almost in every category of this healthcare plan. And as long as I've been on this fiscal court, which is predates this term of service, we have been able to give back to the employer a savings every year. And we are matching healthcare coverage and continuing the savings while moving to a new company. And that is, it checks so many boxes. But I just want everyone to know that we did do our due diligence and looked at multiple plans to be able to deliver this today. So certainly my partner on the committee has any other comments we would like to make.
I only make one. It basically just backs up what you say. When we sat down, we had 2 things in mind, and that is to take care of Franklin County and to take care of Franklin County's employees. And we tried to do that the best way that we could. And I think all plans that were presented were not bad. There's no question about that. We picked the one we thought was the best. And there's
you got the people here that can answer any questions that you have, and the employees are gonna ask Betty Jo probably constantly, because it has changed. They gotta re-enroll, and it's a hassle, but it's there and there's nothing we can do about it. So that's basically all I've got to say.
Thank you. I'm gonna touch on that a little bit. I'm working with, Jamie, and actually, we're gonna be getting out, information to the employees by email. I'm meeting with the department heads and some of the elected officials of the office, like the jailer, tomorrow afternoon. We're gonna go on and put together packets to give out to all the employees. So we're gonna give those to the admins at those locations. I'm gonna meet with them and go over the details of it, so if they can help with the questions, we're gonna, those are gonna be paper delivered to them. I'm also gonna send it out electronically on their email. And the main thing for the employees to remember, if you do not make any changes to your health insurance, okay, and this is only special enrollment for health insurance only, starting July 1. If they don't want to make any change at all, you do nothing. Okay, on your side, you do nothing. So if employees does not want to make a change to the health insurance, you do nothing. If you do want to make a change, you're going to be able to come with me, schedule with me. I'll walk you through the phone. I'll go out to the locations and I will help you get changed if you want to add anybody or take anybody off. This is going to be a seamless effort for the employees. You don't have to do anything. So I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited because this is a really, really good benefit. If you all know insurance, and you know insurance is going through the roof right now in private sector. I know the cities went up. So this is just excellent.
Any questions for Betty Jo or Jamie Bennett? Wire Tracy. Question, just to make sure.
When does the actual Humana contract expire?
And that's something I did want to draw attention to. This is not a renewal with United Healthcare.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're actually canceling the Humana contract early. Normally we run on a January 1, December 31. We're going to cancel the Humana contract effective July 1. Everything should, cards should be in everybody's hands. We're going to try to make it as seamless as possible, but also let me say, there's always disruption when you change carriers to some degree. Somebody didn't get their card, or their copay on a lisinopril is now $25 and it was $20. There's always going to be those kinds of disruptions, but we're going to minimize it as much as possible. Betty Jo and I have put together a one-pager, frequently asked questions that will go distributed, as she said, via email and hard copy. So we're going to try to make it as seamless as possible in the transition.
So Humana is no longer going to, again, I'm going back to, we're pulling out. When does their actual contract expires? December 31st?
That is correct, Scotty. Okay. And they have already announced that anyone who renews after October 1 of this year, which is us, will not be offered a renewal. So the reason for us going ahead and doing it now is, just so you know and get a grasp, is when you look at market share in Kentucky for groups over 100 employees, and this is everybody. This is governmental, nonprofits, profit. Anthem has about 65% of the market share of employers over 100. Humana had about 24%, or has about 24%. United Healthcare has about 14, and that leaves the Cignas, the Aetnas of the world all together have less than 1% of market share. So what we're capitalizing off of is Anthem's already the big dog. United Healthcare wants to be the big dog, and they're willing to pay more because they want to capture that 24% of market share that Humana's left out there. Does that make sense? Okay, so.
Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. The key takeaway, not only for this body and what it does for the employees, the key takeaway for all of us is to understand that while we're in the budget process, we are saving 3% over potentially what was a known payment. So the plus of that is we're getting in on that early, we're saving that early, and we'll be able to share that savings across the budget for 18 months. So I think that's something that sings to the heartstrings of our treasurer in these times when everything else seems to be graduating and costing us more.
Just quickly, is there any change in dental and vision?
We're not making any of that, no, currently, no ma'am.
Okay.
We will be looking at that in October, November, when the full open
That's a
enrollment
separate
takes-
plan.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
separate.
I knew it was. I just didn't know if we were going to be
Yes.
changing.
No, only health insurance.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Judge. Jamie, you referenced market share. I guess my question would be, did the committee receive and or look at any market analysis to compare Franklin County to other counties, other government entities to see where we lay?
The last benchmarking data, that I have supplied to the court, I think it's about 2 years old. But we can do that rather easily if you'd like. I will tell you that there is not another county in the Commonwealth of Kentucky who is paying the rate you're paying for the coverage they're getting. I'll swear that by that 100%. And we do have some other clients close. For example, LFUCG is paying around $785 a month for single coverage. If you look at what the single coverage here is, even comparing it to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, we're in a very, very good place here. Will it run forever? No, not in today's environment. There are so many things that go into that rate. The biggie right now is specialty drugs. I mean, we're seeing plans running at 78, 80% medical loss ratios, and then all of a sudden there's a specialty drug hit and somebody's taking an injection once a month for the next 12 months. And that injection's $300,000 a pop. Those things that hit, they're going to affect your rate. I would tell the court that the opportunity to have this rate stretched out for 18 months is huge.
Go ahead, Sparker.
You referenced the savings is 3%. Is that over the 18 months?
Yes, sir. The rate is locked in for 18 months.
And then you spoke of the $200 cash card.
Yep.
Is that a cash card for 18 months or 12 months?
The cash card is going to run for now through January 1. They'll need to use that card up between now and January 1.
So 200 over 6 months and then 200 over 12 months. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
And 500 family, which I don't know a family in today's world that can't use $500.
I guess this question's for the committee. On April the 20th, Judge, you informed the court that we were about 3.5 in the red. Committee met on the 28th. Was there any discussions in regards to bidding this out?
I'll speak for that. I mean, I think we did bid it out between the companies, that are offering healthcare. And for me personally, and the other members can talk about it, I mean, I think a time right now when one of the big players is pulling out and the healthcare is so unstable, I think we've gone above doing our due diligence and just happy to see the return. Now, to say that in 18 months, I think it would be a different story when things kind of lay down. That's just my personal opinion, but I know the healthcare market is super unstable right now, and for us to get cost us less and giving our employees more, for me, it was a no-brainer. But in 18 months, then I think that would definitely be an option because we'll know, there's basically going to be 2 players left, and I think you'd have a little bit of negotiating power at that point. If anybody else wants to speak on it, that's fine.
Scotty, can I address that?
Sure.
One of the things that's playing into this is we didn't isolate Franklin County Fiscal Court with this approach to United Healthcare. We took our entire block of Humana clients and negotiated with the block of, this is what we'd like to get. We'd like to get a reduction in cost in an 18-month block. And we negotiated that for the, I think there are roughly 48 or 49 different employers of 100 or more who are in this block that I'm talking about. So we didn't just use Franklin County and its 180 employees. We used everybody in our Humana block at the agency. Does that make sense?
It does.
So shop, yeah, we shop.
Yeah, I guess I'm coming from a standpoint of, I've been pretty consistent over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at approximately $875,000 yearly expense to the county government.
It's got to be in the top 5.
Yeah, and there's been conversations up here going back and forth over $5,000.
Right.
So I kind of go back to that, and then, I didn't see in here, and I know by law you have to provide it, the broker compensation disclosure. I didn't see that in the package. If it's available, if I could get a copy of
Yes,
that.
I can tell you what it is off the top of my head.
Yes,
It's
fine.
$20 per member per month.
And if you can send that to us, I think by law they have to share it with you or with you, Judge. So, again, I look at it $1,700 approximately a month, which is great. I just think when you're looking at big picture and we know that we're 3.5 in the red, and again, we've sat up here and went back and forth over $5,000. For me personally, again, staying consistent where I've been, along with other members that sit on this court, I just feel like, hey, we have to do our due diligence to make sure we're getting the best product at the best price. So that's where I'm at, and I just, like I said, I just want everybody to know that.
Yeah, one of the things that's driving the market right now, and not in a good way, is there's a lack of competition. With Humana exiting, that leaves United Healthcare and Humana in the fully insured market. You can throw in the Cignas and the Aetnas, but honestly, if I put Cigna or Aetna in here for Franklin County, I couldn't put my head on a pillow at night because the networks are so sparse and so bad. It's going to do nothing but make life miserable for just about every employee here. United Healthcare and Anthem have the largest networks, not only in Kentucky, but across the United States. So I'm personally, I'm proud to be able to deliver this to the court.
No, and I appreciate everything you do. Again, I think you touched on it best right there when you just referenced competition.
Yeah, it's
Competition. Yeah, but competition makes the world go around, and that's another reason I believe that it should be put out, so.
All right. I will add, not very much of a comment, but in reference to what you said, is the whole thing just all of a sudden Humana's quitting. We have an 18-month proposal on the table. You can't seek probably we're talking about a new broker because you can't, these plans are the same basically. I mean, you get Anthem or you get United Healthcare, one of the two, basically. You probably don't want to go with some of the smaller companies, but you have different people bring the same plan in here and decide which one of those people you want to use. And you have a very small amount of time to get that done. And as the judge said, we've got 18 months to think about what we want to do in the future, and everybody can be more involved in that decision right here. And that was a thought when we were sitting at that table. And an 18-month plan with a 3% reduction, technically maybe more than 3%, because it keeps it from going up 2 or 3 or 4 next year. Because if you want to count all that in, it may be a 5 or 6% reduction, or less than, or whatever, however you want to present that quote. But anyway, they were all talked about in that committee. All that was trend
nationally. You asked about, have you checked with trend nationally is about 12%. You all have done rate reductions the last 2 years, and you've got another one on the table for 18 months. You're doing very, very well.
Betty Jo, I want to thank you. Okay, I guess one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do have one more question, comment. For employees. So if the current network that they're under right now, if they're going to see Dr. A, can they continue to go see Dr. A?
It is going to be a minimal amount of disruption on a primary care physician. There should be zero disruption in a facility. For example, if you're going somewhere you got a surgery scheduled or you got something up, United Healthcare is going to have that facility the same way Humana did. Okay? They've got every facility in the state of Kentucky. I can't speak for, there might be a doctor in Owenston that somebody goes to that doesn't take United Healthcare, but for the most part, I'd say they do, because, you know, the physicians only have 2 or 3 insurance companies to choose to accept or not accept the same way you do as an employer.
Well, and also during COVID, United kind of took over a lot of the COVID stuff, so everybody, including me, signed on to United when we had not before. So I don't think you're going to have much problem with that.
All right, listen.
Couple questions. You elaborated on the $200 debit card with $1,000 in gift cards. Is that renewable for 6 months and then a year as well, or is that full 18-month term
For the $1,000 wellness benefit, that's a year. Jamie?
We're talking about 2 different things. There is what's called Care Cash, which is help with deductibles, co-payments. And we've essentially taken a $1,000 deductible, and for the next 6 months, we've made it $750. The cash for, I think it's bonus bucks is the name that is used for United Healthcare. That is their version of Go 365, which is a wellness platform where you can, you wear the Apple Watch and you can track your steps and workouts and all of those things, and you earn money towards programs. With Humana's Go 365, it was capped at 300. With United Healthcare, it's up to 1,000. So we're talking 2 different things there.
And that's plan year.
Plan year.
Plan year. That's what he's asking. So the easy answer is plan year.
It's on this page. It's in here.
Sorry.
It will roll over.
You're there.
Your unused card balance will roll over each plan year and does not expire. That's in that packet, in this packet. It's in there.
Where I have to ask you a question. Pretty serious.
What's that?
You talked about Flat Creek, and I gotta know where you went to elementary school.
Well, no, of course.
Did you have my mother? I bet you did.
What was her name?
Tommy Bennett.
Of course I did.
5th grade. She
Taught
spent
the algebra. Ahead of, 3 years ahead of everyone else.
She also knew how to use the paddle too, didn't she?
Never had that problem.
I did.
Betty Jo, thank you. Jamie, thank you.
Yeah, just one more comment. I would like to echo Master Tracy's comments. Given the uncertainty in the market begets competition sometimes, and with United or with Humana's exit, I'm wondering, there's a lot of restructuring, a lot of opportunity at this moment that is going after business. That I have to honestly say, I think it might be worth our effort. I mean, we're not 6 months out ahead. We're 8 months at this point before our renewal time, so we're not pressed for time. I'm always leery of making a decision when we're told we need to do it now because. I like to take the time and make sure we explore all options. So I have to echo that I wouldn't mind to bid our contract service agreement and see what else is out there. I think probably have an opportunity at the moment, but I could be wrong.
I've got to say something on behalf of that. Actually, the committee did meet, and we did talk about self-funding. We attended a training class, Sherry did, Richard did, on self-funding. And we did talk about that, and due to the budget and due to unforeseen circumstances, we wanted to grab this deal while we could. The committee was not interested in self-funding, and the other, say brokers was about self-funding, and we was just worried about doing self-funding right now. And there is a time crunch, okay? Because, and the reason we wanted to move this further is because we have to start looking at this in like a June, July, to start open enrollment in October. So, but forget about the time crunch. We don't want all these businesses at the same time in October going for the business. If so, the county's gonna be paying a higher rate. I can almost guarantee it.
Squire Tracy.
But we did talk about that though in the committee.
Betty Jo, think you just referenced brokers, so you all did
We
meet
had a
as a
discussion
committee,
and-
met with brokers, and they offered other plans? Is that accurate?
We did not bid it out, no.
No, that wasn't my question. You all met with other brokers as a committee and other
No,
plans?
we have to bid it out. We cannot meet with the broker and say, bring me proposal. We have to bid that out.
So in all actuality, you don't know that it wouldn't be cheap? That's just all speculation?
It's just what I'm hearing from
Okay.
other,
Okay, thank you.
and the committee can speak on that if they like.
Again, I just want to thank the committee, I want to thank Jamie and Betty Jo. This is, it's been a lot of work put into this, there's a lot of decisions to be made. I see the Squire's, points, we've talked about that. I just still think with the uncertainty of the market right now, we're doing the right thing, but.
I can't believe we're saving 3% on health
I believe
insurance.
it's
Like,
about
I'm just
$30,000,
shocked.
isn't it, Amy? 28,000?
27.
I think it's awesome.
27.
Betty Jo, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next item.
Yep.
This is authorization to continue subsidizing employee health insurance premium for dependent plan with United Healthcare starting January 1 through January 31st, 2024. The purpose is this is continue lowering the monthly premium for employees who choose dependent health coverage. Offsetting the monthly premium of health insurance of employees will benefit the county in retention and recruitment of employees. The court voted in 2021 to start subsidizing in 2022. And currently we have here that the county pays 100% for single, 65% for spouse, 65% children, and 60% family. And this has been a good retention and recruitment benefit that we do have. So we were just asking to continue that dependent coverage.
Any questions from Betty Jo on this? I think it's a great thing that the county is able to do for their employees.
Now, can you go ahead and advise, because you said this will be, can you advise the court in regard to the questions that I ask about, do we know without a doubt that this by subsidizing, we have retained employees?
We have.
Can you answer that question? for the
Yes, she
court,
asked me
please?
that question. Actually, I've had employees that, could have been looking for their job, and they said, we by doing this and starting this, that helped the employee here instead of going somewhere else, because we are subsidizing that. Also too, I believe it's a good benefit with a tier 3 people. Tier 3 in retirement is just not that good. And this is a extra benefit to retain and recruit. This has been huge recruiting with this. This has never happened in Franklin County with the percentage of this, never, until 2022, till this court voted to subsidize. So yes, I fully support that we are keeping employees because of this, and we're recruiting employees because of the dependent coverage.
We also keep people healthy
Yes.
that work for us.
Yes.
Betty Jo, thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, I was gonna ask, in relation to that, Betty Jo, I'm wondering if you've looked at surrounding communities, how we're comparable in the amounts, the percentages that we're.
I have a spreadsheet I can send you. It is 2 years old. That's when we did the benchmarking of Scott County to city. I have those documents if you want me to send those to you.
I'd like to
Yes,
see if
definitely.
you're line. I'm particularly concerned about our first responder personnel, of course, and how those little things, even a couple percentage points, are critical sometimes in retention. I understand from talking to people in multiple counties and who shop us against one another, right? for
Yes,
whatever
they do.
work.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Squire Tracy.
Betty Jo, I just asked that you forward that broker compensation disclosure.
Oh, I wrote that down. I'll have Jamie send that to me and I'll send it to,
Please send it to Jack or Mitzi and they can send it to
Yes,
the
and that's law. You probably should have received it in January, February.
yeah, I'll have to check on that.
Okay.
But yes, I will give that to you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Betty Jo.
Thank you.
All right, the next one is the agreement with the plant board. Can you talk about that?
Quick question. After the FPB broadband update today and their representatives being with us, those being board chair and vice board chair, and them being okay with taking a step back to give you, Judge, time to kind of get your hands wrapped around the project and explore some options. I'd like to make a motion to table line item 13 to allow you the time to explore those options. Thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, is that the will of the court? I'm just gonna look around, I guess, and see, is everybody in agreement, so we're gonna table that, give us some time to digest it?
Yeah, and then we'll have to do that in the actual, you'll have to make the motion in the voting session.
Okay.
But it sounds like that's the will.
Okay.
This question on the motion here is, will that be a table for a time certain? Could we put that back on the agenda for
Put it
the
back on the
next?
agenda, and my thoughts is maybe we
You
do a
could
committee of the
ask,
whole,
yeah.
and we all sit
Table
and
it
really talk
till,
about it. That's a lot of information
till,
to digest.
May 25th?
Yeah, we can,
Time
we have to get an exact date if we table it. Does it have to be next meeting, or can
No.
we?
No,
He's-
we don't have to.
Squire Tanner's just asking if we could do it that way. He's
Oh,
not
yeah,
saying
you
to
can
do
table
it,
for
he's
time
asking.
certain. You
Yeah,
just
he's
say what
asking
time
if
it
that's
is.
how the
Yeah,
body
well,
wants to do
yeah,
it.
Thank you, yeah.
I guess the question was, would that put you at a restraint or in a crunch trying to get others in to explore? That would be my question.
As long as we can table it and not have to be in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I would prefer that, yes, it's gonna take some
So
time.
then you need, can we do it then in June? Report back
We
in
have to put a
June?
date on it? Asking Mr. County Attorney here. Can we just say we're gonna table it for now, and then it will get back on the agenda once we get the appropriate information?
You can table for now, but to bring it back, you don't have to.
Okay, thank you. All right, but you'll have to make that in the voting session. All right, next.
And Judge, I was going to ask on that item too, that we do this as a full body. This is too critical for us to have developed in a committee, I believe. I think we have a lot of exploration to do very quickly. I think this whole side of the body here has requested for the last 3 months to have some information. This is the first time we've got anything, so there's a lot of homework I want to do.
Can I just say, this didn't come from a committee.
No.
This
No,
hasn't been
I
dealt with in
understand
a
that. I'm
committee.
asking that we.
And I don't
work
think
this
it's
as a
going
whole.
to a committee, as
That's what
I
I said. I
understood
wanna do a
it,
committee
yeah.
of the whole to
That's-
talk about this.
That's
what I
what
was
he
requesting.
said from the beginning,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. I just wanted it to be clear that
We've
it's
had
not
no
come from
communication,
any.
as a committee, quote unquote, so this is all new to everybody.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's why I was saying, I think moving forward from here, if it is the will of the court to table it, then we have a committee of the whole meeting to sit down together as a full body and talk about this, because it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of the top things in our community right now. We want to make sure we proceed correctly. Okay, Mr. Charlie Lewis, bless you.
Yes, thank you.
Charlie, how you doing today?
Good, good.
Good.
Let's see, this next one is authorization to approve the housing contract for the property at 219 Steventown Lane. This is a renewal. We currently have this contract. It's been ongoing for several years for Mr. Carmen that lives at the residence at the park.
Has anything changed on this, just out of curiosity?
No changes, just a renewal.
Which is a new court, so does anybody have any questions? So basically, this is our first security guard that lives in the home on our property out there. All right, seeing no questions, next, Charlie.
Next is authorization to declare a park department vehicle as surplus for donation. This is a Jeep Cherokee. It's an older vehicle that we used to use at the park. It's no longer in service. It's in pretty bad shape, and I would like to donate it to the Career Tech Center for their classes to have it available to work on. I think Squire Blackburn, they're going to put it in the
They want to put it in the mud run.
The motor.
Yeah.
Does that mean we get a name on it?
Yep.
I mean, can we
It's
be part
either-
of this?
I wasn't sure if it was it demolition derby or man?
No, the demolition derby they did last year. They
It's the
painted,
mud run.
they painted
Okay,
one, navy and gold and the other one green and gray. That's
Yeah.
kind of the plans this year.
It's county hills.
No matter what they do with it, they're gonna work on every square inch of that thing.
It's gonna be used.
It's gonna be used. And I can tell you, all the vehicles, and the program that you're donating it to is the Auto Tech program.
I'll take.
And that particular teacher, it's his second year teaching, and he just got Teacher of the Year in, at the Career and Technical Center. So he's doing amazing things, and, got a lot of buy-in with the students in his program, and he's doing a spectacular job. And he'll make great use of this.
Great. Squire Blackburn, can we hold you responsible? Can we get our name on there somewhere? Can we
Huh?
have to be part of this, just a little bit?
I would say absolutely,
Yeah. See
but
what
it's
you
up
can
to
do for
him,
us.
and I'm not
See
gonna.
what you can do for us.
We'll get something going on.
Judge, let's say Squire Blackburn.
Yeah.
No.
Business too, yeah.
No.
Squire Wisman.
We name it.
Just a technical concern, do we know what funding, what type of funds this was bought with? Was it just county's park funds?
It was, just out of the general fund. It could have been specifically assigned to a vehicle line item, but that was general funds.
Okay. We should have a VIN number, to my understanding, on the surplus order to approve, or a serial number or something on every piece of equipment that we move to approve. So if we approve this today, we should have it contingent upon adding that VIN number to this.
Not a problem. We have that information, I think. Yes. Okay. All right. Charlie, thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
All right, next item, I'm gonna ask Amy and John to come up and talk about the, waste tire grant program. Or whoever drew the shortest straw can talk about it. I can see you're both rushing up here right now.
So this is, your solid waste coordinator typically is the person that presents this, but you get us today. This is an annual grant that the county applies for from the state, $4,000. Do you want to talk about what you've got going on with the money that we received this past year?
Yeah, we just got the tire trailer in last week. We filled it up yesterday, day before yesterday. So they're picking it up today, and we should get the bill back hopefully in another week or hopefully next court. We can get this paid out and try to keep it right on that fine line, but it is something we do every year. Now, the year we have the tire collection in Franklin County, we don't utilize the grant, but any other time, yeah, and we still got tires, really, we didn't have enough money to get rid of all of them.
Any questions on this item? John, thank you. Amy, we appreciate you stepping in. I know we're trying to fill this grant writer position. I know it's taking a toll on you, so we as a court thank you for stepping up and helping us out here. All right, now, authorization going to closed session per KRS 61.810(1)F, discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. We're in closed session. Got a little bit. session. And next item is hire a part-time golf employee. Any questions on that? No, seeing no questions. Other business, we had a couple add-ons. I believe Amy is here to speak on those. Everyone should have that information. So I guess we'll start with VOCA grant.
So again, both of these are annual grants, so that's what it applies for. So these are both just the resolution to approve that we can apply for these funds.
Any questions on, I guess, we'll start with VOCA. Any questions on the VOCA grant that we're going to apply for?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment.
Okay.
So the VOCA grants, we know, are going to be, sorry,
You got it.
I hate it
It's
when I
on.
do that.
Yeah, you're fine.
There's a very, very, very strong chance that it's going to be decreased by at least 20% again next year. So we just need to be aware of that, and where we're going to pull that money from, because that position is sorely needed. We cannot live without it. And this VOCA money is not only going to be decreased, but on top of that, it is a pain in the rear end. And they are now asking for things that, in my estimation, are not worth the money. And that's just the truth. It takes up so much time, so much attention to just complete all of the many pieces that they now want for this VOCA grant, that it's something to really think about. It's a lot for the little amount of money that we get from them. It's a lot.
Yeah, can I ask a question? So, please, I'm gonna use your artful term of pain in the rear end. What makes it, and when you say they and pain in the rear end, and, you know, can you elaborate on that a little bit for someone who's not as clearly semiotically close to it?
So they're asking for lots of extra things now.
So they.
The VOCA, the federal government is asking for lots and lots of extra things now. So they want an FBI background check now for everybody that works in it. If you work with children, you know, you're a covered position. And so they want all of these extra background checks, which is fine. However, it takes up more time. They want their monitoring is becoming very difficult and very, I mean, it's a lot of information that they want. That is, since we don't have a grant writer, right, you know, is going to be difficult. I think even with a grant writer, it's going to be difficult. They're going to continue to cut back. They've said that. So we're talking, you know, 15-20% per year. They want time and activity reports now, like they have not asked for in such detail before. So instead of being able to do your job, you are detailing everything that you're doing all day long. So I'm not saying it's, you know, not to apply for it. I'm saying understand that it takes a lot of time and attention to now apply for this money. It's not a lot of money for all of the work that you put into it. That's all I'm saying. And it's going to continue to be decreased.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that everything goes well and we get it this year. We'll keep moving on. And if we don't, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. How's that?
Just something to think about.
All right, the next grant.
And the next one is the transportation for non-public school students through Franklin County.
Hey, you got a question on this? Is that amount the same every year or does it go up, down?
It's not, there's a formula. It is on that second page of the resolution. It's right towards the middle, the formula. So Franklin County will give us an estimate and it'll be based off of that.
Gotcha. Perfect. Any questions on that? All right. Thank you.
Judge, I just have a question for in other business, and it's not for our treasurer. I noticed in our informational packet, typically we've been getting reports from Constable Stanford now for both terms outside on the court, which has been great because we asked for them to be typed up. And now it appears we've gotten one from another constable, so we ask all of our constables to provide us some reporting documentation.
Great question.
And I have to ask our attorney that because that's a separate body from us, so I don't know. These may be given freely. They're supposed to give us report? Well, I want to see them. I don't know about my brethren on the court. You all may not want to look at them.
I'll echo, I was gonna bring it up separately, but we have, reports that are notarized here. I was just wondering what the requirements are for KRS statute and if we're complying and or if that jeopardizes the position, the elected position, if those are not reported. I was gonna ask for that county attorney to give us maybe some recommendation on action for that.
Look at it. I don't know, I saw it in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other business?
I got a couple of things that bring it up, and then I'm gonna just, I'd like to ask, I should have brought it up when on the road. What's going on with our bid that was submitted for our metal on our first building out at the road department? Did we ever heard back from that?
Open today?
It
Might be today. I'm trying to remember. There was a problem with it. We have the bids, the sealed bids, I believe.
It's opening today at 2.
Yeah, it's actually today too. But there was a problem with how long it had to be advertised as far as the opening. So that's
We
why.
thought it'd be in April sometime.
Yeah, so it
So
today is for the.
so we'll be looking at that next meeting.
Correct. That is correct, sir.
Okay, because that kind of tied in with our $10 million bond we're fixing to authorize.
Yeah.
That's,
We'll-
that
we'll
basically,
We'll probably go over that project in the next committee as a whole also. You know, we'll
oh,
probably-
that'd be fine, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
I think we need to, everybody needs to get up to speed on that project.
The other question I have is, our safety committee meeting this afternoon at 2:30, is that for everybody supposed to be there, or is that a committee?
It's just committee meetings. Department head. Yeah.
Just department is, those emails when they list everybody on there, just, I got an agenda. So don't, okay. I'm assuming you're saying don't bother coming. Huh?
Saying correct. Just department head. Okay. Any other?
I'm not department head.
Alrighty, seeing that, let's move into the voting session if everybody's ready to go. Today is May 10th, 2023, and this is our voting session. Clerk, please call roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Here.
Squire Blackburn.
Present.
Squire Dykus.
Here.
Squire Tracy.
Here.
Squire Tanner.
Here.
Squire Listman.
Present.
Judge Muller.
Present. Item number 2, authorization for approval of minutes from special meeting of April 20th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization for approval of minutes from regular meeting of April 27th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive county clerk's claim for calculation of motor vehicle and boat bills for 2023.
So moved.
Second. Go ahead, Kelly.
Clerk, you get that?
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve budget transfer for fiscal year 2023 to 2022, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve cash transfers for fiscal year 2022 to 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Claims. Is there a motion to deny payment of any claims? Seeing none, let the record reflect claims are to be ordered to be paid. Already. Second reading and approval of an ordinance of the Fiscal Court of Franklin County, Kentucky County, authorizing and approving the insurance of Franklin County, Kentucky general obligation bonds in a principal amount not to exceed $10 million. The bonds authorization to levy of a direct annual tax on all tangible property within the county, in addition to all other taxes in an amount sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on the bonds to the extent that revenues are not sufficient, and authorization the taking of all other actions, including the execution and delivery of a continuing disclosure agreement, federal tax certificate, IRS Form 8038G, and such other documents, agreements, and necessary or require the insurance of the bonds.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to award a bid for fire department uniforms to Galls.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to renew with United Healthcare as the county's provider for health insurance starting July 1, 2023 until December 31, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to continue subsidizing employee health insurance premiums for dependent plans with United Healthcare starting July 1, 2023 until December 31, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Authorization to accept an extension interlocal cooperation agreement with the Franklin Plant Board for an infrastructure project extending broadband service to the unserved and underserved areas of Franklin County, Kentucky.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
Make a motion to table line item 13 to allow you time to explore options and to be brought back up at another time.
Second.
All those in favor of tabling item number 13, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion will be tabled while we do some discussions. Authorization to approve housing contract for property located at 219 Stedmantown Lane, Lakeview Park.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to declare park department vehicle as surplus for donation.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Judge, can I just make an addendum that is subject to the VIN number on that?
No, it'll be fine. We have that information, so yes, that will be put in there. Where, did you get that?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for 2023-2024 waste tire grant program with the Kentucky Department for Environmental Protection, Division of Waste Management.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to hire Nicholas Boswell as part-time golf employee.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to amend the agenda to add a resolution under other business.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for grant funds under the Federal Victims of Crime Act, VOCA, through the Commonwealth of Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to amend the agenda to add a resolution under other business.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution to support the transportation of non-public school students within Franklin County.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Just want to remind everybody, today's the birthday of Franklin County. I think that's a great day, and look forward to having a luncheon that's sponsored by the Fiscal Court for all of our teammates, let's say. And authorization to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We are adjourned.